Well, we're on. So,
Hey, everyone.
hey guys, we had
I must be
a.
breaking a few laws here or something.
You're not really paying attention to me. Just keep your eye on the road.
What?
This doesn't seem like a
Hold,
great
hold
idea.
on.
I think it'll be pretty good here. So we'll pay attention
Right.
to what's going on.
So, we had a slight technical difficulty on my end because we made the mistake of trying to hit Costco for three things.
It
On the way out
never,
of
it
Winnipeg.
never is. It's never three things. You go in there for three things and you walk out with a shopping cart and a $500 Visa bill.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? I told myself, hey, I said, listen, we're going to grab a few things. Let's grab stream elements. We needed allergy pills, popcorn, and razors.
How much popcorn did you get?
44 bags.
I mean, you could buy popcorn here. Yeah, that's okay. That's popcorn. It's like you can buy popcorn here. You don't need to go to Costco to get your popcorn.
You are correct. However, the reason that we got it was because the kids go through a absolute pile of the stuff.
There we go. That's good. Rightly so. They should go through a pile of that.
They go through a pile of popcorn, and we were there. So I had to go to the Under Armour store. Kelsey had to go for doctor's appointments, so we ended up going in. And yeah, I ended up at Costco, and I thought, you know what? No big deal. 3 minutes in and out. Never happens.
No. Man, you get so lost. It's like I'm just gonna go to IKEA and pick something up. Like it doesn't happen. Like by the time you figure out where the hell you are, it's already half an hour in.
Well, and the problem is we get in there, and the first thing I see, I'm like, oh, look, they have hammock chairs on sale.
And
I didn't get one. I didn't get one, and they also had Blackstones on for a hell of a price, and I did not get one of those either.
Oh,
It was a lot of self-control.
I like Blackstones. Blackstones are like the new thing, really.
Blackstones are the new Traeger.
Yeah,
easy. We all got a Traeger when the Traegers came out, and I love it. However, the Blackstone is a skillet. It's a griddle. And I'm still trying to wrap my brain around how many eggs I'm going to make in the morning.
As many as you
make as many as you want.
As many as you want. Yeah, exactly. There's endless possibilities.
It's much along the same cult as Pebbles is here. It's much along the same cult line as the Traeger was when it came out, in that everybody was smoking everything.
Not me. I got into World War II history.
What?
You haven't seen that, eh? So basically when a guy gets the age of 40, he has two options. The first one is he starts smoking everything, or he gets really deep into World War II history. And I mean, I didn't really get a Traeger, so obviously I guess I got into World War II history.
Hey, Polar Bears. Don't you normally stream on TikTok? Here's the thing. We've streamed on TikTok. The problem is TikTok is a little touchy as to what we put on our stream, and we either are granted permission or our permission is taken away. So
yeah, it's like copyright infringement.
Yeah, we showed a couple of clips of a movie, and I got my hand slapped. So here's the thing: when it comes to streaming, Twitch and Facebook are king. Period. YouTube is okay, but TikTok is good when you are wanting to engage with people that you don't know. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube are great for people that actually know who we are and want to chit chat with us. So, Jay's driving, so he can't read that, but Pebble says hi.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, like I said, I'm probably breaking some sort of law somewhere. But I'm not watching you guys, so that's fine.
He's driving, but it's a self-driving car.
Yep, it's a Tesla. It's a Tesla truck. Made in Japan.
You had a cousin make one for you?
Yeah, nice. Pretty much. So, family discount, right?
And just so you guys know, the only person having a drink right now is me. I'm sure Jay's gonna have one when he gets back.
Yeah, that would be stellar for me to be drinking from a 2.6 right now. That would be bad.
No. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait till you get back into your home Wi-Fi, because your connection is okay at best.
Just okay. There's a little sketch. So hey,
I can hear
there's,
you.
like those Blackstones. Do they have them over at, like, I think Livingstone has them, right?
Livingstone
Or
has
something
them.
They've got smokers and Blackstones and a lot of other stuff too.
If Matt's selling them, I'd rather buy it from Matt. Then here's the thing. Let's just say you can get it cheaper at Costco. Let's say you can.
Yep.
Here's the
course you can.
problem. It's going to cost you another couple $100 to go to Winnipeg, plus
Yep.
everything else you're buying at Costco. So really, you're saving money by buying it here in town.
Yeah, but there's still the people who are going to be like, I will go to the other side of the city to buy the gas there because it's 1 cent cheaper or something per liter. It's like, really,
Yeah.
like, how many beers are you going to get? 50? So congratulations, you saved 50 cents.
Actually, the funniest one is when you see the people lined up at the Costco gas bar for a long time idling
Yeah.
to save 6 cents a liter off their gas.
Exactly. Like, come on.
So-
Come on.
You probably
And
burnt
gas
that just
prices
waiting
are-
around.
Gas is cheap right now, right? Like, it's not
Gas
an
is-
expensive thing right now.
Here's the funny thing. Gas is more expensive in around the perimeter of Winnipeg. It was $1.36. Yet if you're in Winnipeg, it's $1.16.
Right.
And $1.40 something at just outside of town. So if they know that
Yeah.
you're traveling in and out of the city, they're going to get you.
So
But
so I was having this talk with a client, okay, and we were
Okay.
talking about the gas prices. And do you remember what the gas prices were when we were 16, 17 or whatever?
I remember there being a gas war when it was 25 cents a liter.
Right. Or even like standard was 40 cents was kind of standard-ish.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. How much was minimum wage then?
I was making $4.80, I believe.
$4.80. So minimum wage is what, 17 now? 16?
Right.
So
Right.
it should be about 4 times higher ish than what it was then. It just
Are
puts
you
the
doing-
wage.
Are you doing math for fun again?
I'm trying to. Yeah,
And I didn't get the gong yet.
Gong. Yeah.
Ding.
So
But no,
really, gas prices, are they that bad compared
No.
to minimum wage?
No, and you used to be able to buy a brand new car for $12,000 too.
Yep. Right.
So I guess-
12,500.
How much
Right.
was your first car?
Oh God, I don't even remember. I don't remember. It was a few $1,000s.
Mine was
And,
$1,000,
Okay.
and it was a 1977 Ford Ranchero.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's great.
It was Ford's version of the El Camino.
Yep, those are fantastic. See, mine was a little bit newer. So,
Was it a Honda?
oh, come on,
I'm guessing
Ford.
Datsun.
it was a Ford.
You had a Ford?
Yeah, the Ford.
Your parent really?
My parents were
Escort?
big Ford people back then. No,
Was it?
but is that racist? There is that where you're going at there?
They're driving a Ford
Maybe a
Escort?
long time. You right?
No, the Escort. No. I just assumed. I assumed you would have been driving an import.
No, everything gets really dirty with you, doesn't it? No, I drove a
Dude.
Ford Probe.
Hang on. What? Did you drive a Ford Probe?
Yeah, I drove a Ford Probe.
$3,500 for an
Oh.
Aspen that my dad found for me. An Aspen. An
Aspen?
Aspen.
What's an Aspen?
Oh, an Aspen. Who made the Aspen?
Was that an AMC?
The Aspen. I know the car, and my brain isn't working right now. Oh, that can't. The Dodge Aspen? No.
Okay.
No. Oh, the Dodge Aspen back in the day, built from 76 to 1980, was a station wagon.
Okay.
Are we right?
Good question.
It had wood paneling. Some of them did, some they didn't.
And wood paneling. It's like what was that movie? National Lampoon's Vacation.
The Vista Cruiser.
Was that what it was called?
Yeah, it was the Vista Cruiser. It had 8 headlights and it was dark green. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
No, it wasn't. I'm looking at the Dodge Aspen. There were a lot of different versions of this thing.
who didn't want a station wagon back in the day, right?
I dated a girl that drove a station wagon once
Yeah,
in high school.
Pretty handy.
Four-door. Oh, okay. It was the
pretty
sedan.
handy.
Aspen sedan. Hang on, let me find this bad boy. Oh, yes. Yes, it was actually kind of a cool car. Oh yeah, I remember that car.
For the
It,
early 80s.
it looked like something that would be in a cop chase, like if cops were chasing a bad guy in
the
the
70s or
80s,
something.
yeah,
or
70s,
80s,
80s, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Excellent.
So you had a Ford. You didn't tell me what kind of Ford it was. Oh, Ford Probe. It was
It was
Ford.
a Ford
Kelsey had a
Probe.
Ford.
It was
Kelsey
a
had a
Ford
Ford
Probe.
Probe as well.
Ah, no way. Good
She
car.
did. She had a black Ford Probe.
Technically, it was a Mazda.
The MX-6 was based on that, and that was actually a cool car.
Yep.
I
Both
really
of them were
wanted the
pretty sweet
MX-6.
cars. Yeah.
But no, there's I think that your first car, when I see a 16 or 17-year-old kid with a car that has warranty, I'm thinking,
Yep.
Okay, your first car should be what we had, a
Yep.
reliable shitbox.
But
It
also
ain't
something
pretty.
you kind of care about. Something you don't want somebody to trash, right?
Nothing too fast.
Yeah.
Like if you floor it, something's
Oh.
going to break.
Yep. Too fast is not good when you get a first vehicle because God, how many speeding tickets did you get in your little car? Let alone, can you imagine have like a V8 Cruiser or something like that?
Believe it or not, I never
An
had a
Interceptor or something.
My second car, which I traded my Ranchero for, was a 1980 Firebird.
Oh, that's dangerous.
And I wish I still had that thing, but it was I've never had a ticket, not one, not even a
really?
parking ticket, nothing.
Wow. Well, you're doing
I'm
better
a
than
cheap-
me.
I'm a cheap Ukrainian who does not want to get a ticket for anything because one, it's going to cost me more, and I like having super cheap insurance.
Yep.
And I guess breaking the law isn't always good either.
No. I mean, there's that. I mean, you should strive to be a good citizen more than just being cheap.
You should still have that, like the Ranchero or the Firebird. If I could find that thing, I wish I had it.
What year was that?
1980. It was a Firebird Esprit, so it actually had the red interior,
Right.
with the wood grain dash. Like it was the fancy one.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the doors in Firebirds and Camaros were about 300 pounds each. So eventually the hinges would go.
Yep.
The Firebirds were fun. And there were two types of people back then. You had Mustang people and you had Camaro Firebird people.
Yep.
And they did have a lot of power.
Actually, really, the Firebird and Camaro people, they didn't like each other a lot of time. Same car.
I would say no, because I had a buddy who had a Camaro. I had a Firebird, and the Trans Am, the Firebird, they were just a different. They looked more aggressive.
They were cooler looking, 100%.
And Burt Reynolds did not drive a Camaro.
No.
Yeah, the Bandit
100%.
the Bandit definitely had a Trans Am, and that thing went.
Yep,
nice
exactly.
Cars.
The Trans Am was a 5.8 liter. Like it
went like hot shit, and you stomp on that thing, and the ass end's taken away on you. And I remember when a 79 Corvette. Ooh,
there we go. Yep.
I remember when I grew up in Dauphin. Around the corner from us, there was this house, and they had 2 or 3 Corvette Stingrays.
Okay. Yep.
And I used to think that those things were like, it'd be like the equivalent of a Porsche now.
Absolutely.
What did this guy do? Was he a doctor? Was he whatever?
They were the car, right?
They were, but it seems like the kind of vehicle that you wore jorts. You have to wear jorts when you're driving it.
100%. You had to have a good mullet. Not just a kind of mullet, you had to have a full series.
Your mullet has to hit the shoulders. That's when an Angel gets its Mountain Dew.
Yep. So whatever happened to that Stingray with the monster truck tires in Brandon?
Oh, the dude had a deer rack on the back of it too. He used to hunt with that thing.
Really? Whatever happened to that thing?
I don't. It might still be there. He lived up in Brentwood. It's that car's still.
So
around.
I knew this girl. She said that was her brother.
The guy was kind of a celebrity around town.
He really was. I mean, you're driving a monster truck Corvette. That's a big deal.
I haven't seen that vehicle in years.
No.
But
it's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's somebody bought that, I'm assuming, and is happy they did.
I mean, somebody built that on purpose.
We've seen a lot of things that were built on purpose that don't make sense.
Yeah, one of the craziest things I saw was it was a late 90s Camaro that was turned into an El Camino. So they took the truck bed
Yeah.
and they fused it to a Camaro, so they called it the El Camaro.
I knew there was a car that was sitting up in front of Honda back in the day, and it was two Honda Civics that were the two front ends were welded back to back. It drove both ways.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they used to take it in parades. You could drive it both ways.
Jesus.
Street legal somehow.
What if you got into an argument, eh?
Could you get rear-ended in that thing?
Yeah, right.
Or it would always be a head-on.
Who decides which way you turn, or do you just start spinning?
You could have zero turn that son of a bitch. You'd have to have two people in there, one driving the back, one driving the front.
You know, and even nowadays we don't have that technology. Like, come on now. You think we could have a little bit more of that?
Ooh, Zumba's got a 2004 Mustang. You know what? Driving a 5-speed, there's something satisfying about driving a 5-speed.
Yep.
And I believe that is the best anti-theft device you could have against any Alpha or Z.
Yep.
Because that third pedal is just a mystery to a lot of people now.
Yep. Exactly. Or you get the ones with the fourth pedal down there for the lights, right? No,
you know what
those are for.
I drove a 1964 Ford 1-ton that my grandfather had. It was a 4 on the floor. The thing took off. It sounded like a school bus, and it had the clicker on the floor for your high beams.
Yep.
Which makes sense. Why wouldn't you have that?
It makes absolute sense. Some of these things, right?
A 71 Javelin with a 4-speed.
Javelin. There you
go. Holy shit! And Evan's dad had this Trans Am. And does he still have that, or did he sell it? He pulled up here in that thing, and I was like, I love everything about this vehicle. It was all those things I still wish I had in a car. And they don't make them like that anymore.
Except now some of them you get into it, like, yeah, this is a classic. And then you look down, there's an 8-track, and you're like, I could probably do without that.
I remember, a buddy of mine had an 8-track player in an old Lincoln.
Yep.
And he put you could get a cassette adapter for the 8-track player.
Okay. Yep.
And then he had the aux cord coming out of that, like the cassette thing in that cassette adapter to a Discman. So he's playing a Discman through the single speaker in the dash of a 8-track player.
Desperate times, right?
Ooh, that's all you had.
Those things, that was probably a 4x10 speaker in the front dash, right? So not a lot of good sound quality from that thing.
No bass, all for AM radio.
Yep,
and exactly. You could probably leave the keys in a manual transmission car these days.
Yeah. I don't know.
And they're just going to stall it down the street.
Gen X people will steal it too if it's old enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
But there's going to be big money in those classic cars. It's going to be a big deal.
Well, because they don't make them anymore. Like, what do you see now that is even close to being classic? The Challenger is the closest thing to a muscle car, I believe, on the market.
That's okay. I drove a Charger for a weekend, and I was pretty excited to get the Charger. And when I got in, I couldn't be more disappointed.
Really?
Okay. Well, I mean, you got traction control, you got anti-skid, you got all these things, right? So you're going and you floor it, right? And it's just nice, easy acceleration. And it's like, God, I kind of want to stir some stuff up here.
Where's the danger of your ass end flipping away on you when you're driving? When you punch it and it's just gone.
That's it. You can't have any of that whatsoever. Like, that's the whole point of a street race, is to have that hopping and jamming on the back wheels to actually get somewhere, right? That's
Did you ever race?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, maybe. But the problem was when I had my Ford Probe, it didn't really go very fast, right? It was a little.
Was that a 4-cylinder Probe?
It was a 4-cylinder. Yeah.
It looked faster than it was.
It looked a lot faster than it was. But years later, I upgraded it to an '89 Toyota Supra with a turbocharger.
That would have went.
That went crazy.
So you went back to your roots and got yourself a Toyota.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So I remember I took it for a test drive before I bought it, right? I shouldn't tell you that. The previous owner might be on this. But driving down First Street, and I pulled up beside. Remember those Cougars, Mercury Cougars? Okay, when they kind of tried to get cool. Yeah, well, there's those ones, but those are trouble. So I pulled up beside this Cougar, and it's this guy he's got a couple of girls, and they start revving the engine. I was like, "Are you serious? You want to go?" So I was like, "Okay, let's go." So we did a street race all the way down First Street. We got pretty bloody fast, I'll say that, and turned onto Richmond. And I had enough speed that I skidded across the 2 lanes and just took off on it. So it was a good time.
You realize how many laws you're breaking right now just by talking to me and, and talking about street racing?
And jamming on what's going on. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm leaving on who I bought it from, because he wouldn't be very happy because it was still saying, hey, they can't get me on this 20 years ago, or whatever, right? So,
and that was back
Too
when
late
First Street was
now.
smooth and you could actually, yeah, but that was back when First Street you could drive over 30 and not destroy your suspension.
oh yeah, like our roads, our weather is just ridiculous when it comes to maintaining these roads. It's insane. I don't know why I don't have a Jeep.
I don't know why you don't have a Jeep either. I guess
Yeah,
Honda
make a
doesn't
lot
make a
more
Jeep.
sense. I mean, that's fair. I don't know why they were primarily used in Asia, weren't they?
I would. Oh, at one time, they
Yeah.
drop them right out of planes.
Yeah, exactly. So they're unstoppable back then.
Jesus.
But it's good vehicles, fun vehicles.
One of the best.
So Toyotas were almost a bulletproof engine with some glaring errors. So
A lot of errors. I'll tell you before we start talking about what's going to piss everybody off today during our live stream.
more
Let's talk
errors, right?
There was a car. Do you remember the Miata?
Oh yeah, yeah. What
Okay.
was that joke? I have a joke about the Miata. Yeah, like, never mind. Go ahead.
Does it translate to English very well?
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Okay. So years ago, I worked at Northside Mazda. And I remember one of the mechanics came in and said, hey, Quentin, come and take a look at this Mazda. And it was one of those first generation Mazda Miatas. They were either blue, red, or white, right? And
pretty much.
it was this blue Miata. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who cares? It's a Miata. He goes, start it.
Yeah.
I fired this thing
Oh,
up and it just roared. I'm like, he goes, pop the hood.
Engine
Had a
swap.
5-liter Mustang engine in it.
Gee, how?
Straight swap. I guess it goes right in there.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now that's a sleeper.
Crazy.
You pull up to that thing, and the car weighs about 1,200 pounds.
Yeah.
It just went like that thing would go like hot shit. But I mean, dangerous. It had a
Dangerous.
wheelbase of about 48 inches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like, so the joke was, like, what's worse than driving a Miata? Having to tell your dad you're gay.
Well, they're built for two.
Yeah, exactly.
They're built for two. You know what? I did like Miatas. I think they were kind of cool. I would drive one.
They're absolutely cool. They're just like the old British Triumphs back in the day. Just really cool little cruiser car for the little roads, right?
And they
Good
did
for
make
there.
one. They made one in British Racing Green with a brown leather interior. I remember that car.
Yes, they did. Now, that was back when cars were all getting a little smaller. So you had like the Honda Civic Del Sol back then, right?
Yep.
And you had the Toyota MR2,
Yeah, that's the MX-3.
MX-3, and MX-3. There was an MX-5 as well, the Presidia.
But that was also back when every car company had a cool option for a two-door car.
Yeah.
Well, the only two-door car I can think of right now is a Mustang and a Challenger. Everything's a four-door.
Pretty much. My parents have a two-door Civic, of course.
Of course they do.
So, I mean, there's.
Do you still have your
that.
Civic?
Me, of course. Yeah. So
you're going to pass that down generation to generation.
it's generational. It's going to go forever, that thing. So, but I mean, there's the thing. Oh, the bikes are out tonight, aren't they? That's sad. That's kind of the problem with vehicles nowadays. Is how badly do you want to buy a new one?
Not at all. We were just talking about that on the way here. Zuma's wondering what I'm drinking. I'm gonna hear. This is gonna get into what we're talking about tonight. So I am drinking very American bourbon. Not to stir the pot.
Bourbon.
I'm drinking bourbon.
Well, we're drinking American tonight. Okay, I'll bear that in mind once I'm home. I have a little bit of bourbon.
I'm drinking a Jim Beam, not because I'm in protest of anything.
Republican.
Are we gonna get into titles?
Well, we can get into all the titles.
We can go to labels. So
labels, identity politics here.
Here's what I don't understand. We have my ex had a 1989 Toyota Corolla, had two doors, super annoying when you have passengers.
Yeah.
Are you talking about your ex or the car? Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just driving past your house, and there was There's these signs along the side of the street. I don't know what they say though. I drove
On
by
my
too
street?
quick. But just going down Park, there's these signs along your neighborhood, like on people's lawns. Slow down or something.
Yeah, slow down. There's kids, slow kids running.
Yeah. So I was going too fast.
The beverage
quite see
the
them.
beverage is a Jim Beam. I'm drinking a bourbon on the rocks. Nothing fancy, just a bourbon. Because one, I can't mix my drinks anymore because Jayon drinks his straight, and apparently I was not.
You pussy.
Whiteout signs. What's a whiteout sign?
Well, that's getting a little.
Like,
Oh, the Jets. The Jets.
that seems a little more politically
Okay.
correct.
That's okay. That's okay then. So
I don't watch a lot of curling, so I'm not familiar.
why don't they have white pride up or something for the Jets?
It is. We're in the middle of an election. People are going to do a lot of crazy shit right now.
Oh, when's the election? It's like just a few more days, eh? 28.
I voted already. Did you?
Oh yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I put Trump in a box.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Of course you did. I'm trying to figure this out because we drove through Portage on the way back.
No, I
and
didn't, Inara. No, I didn't, Inara. Don't worry.
I forgot-
didn't put Trump down.
I forgot 100% that there was the PPC.
Yeah.
I forgot that was even a party.
It is. It's still around. There's not very much
What's
of them around, but
what is it? The
People's Party of Canada? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what their whole thing is.
I don't think
Oh.
they fully know either.
I
gonna
think
say.
that it's right up there with the green. Like, what's the point?
Well, except the
Oh.
Green actually gets a seat.
Oh, so it looks like these guys. Now, I'm just reading the Cole's notes on what this looks like right now. I'm not the guy who wrote this. I'm just the guy that's reading what's on this site. It looks like if it's liberal, they're 100% against whatever that looks like. So gender ideology, gun rights, axe the vax.
Axe the vax. Good call.
Axe the
Emily. Come on.
vax. Like,
It's too late. It's gone.
there are a few things where the ship has already sailed. Like, we're kind of done with that. Some people are still licking their wounds, I'm pretty sure. Evan,
Move
you voted
on.
for the first.
It's done. It's done.
You-
Time to move on.
And you know what, Evan? I voted for the first time as well. Not first time ever. The first time I did it early, and it went really quick. I was pretty happy with that because it was there's barely anybody there. But considering that there was barely anybody there, what was it, 7.3 million votes happen
Oh yeah, people
Like-
were out. People were out.
for the first time ever. Now I'm trying to figure out what type of person was voting early.
What kind
My
of
guess-
person voted early?
What kind of vote? Like what kind of what group would have been voting early? I'm guessing they're kind of the go-getters.
I would assume so. You gonna go, Taylor? Gonna go get your friends? Ouch, that looks like it hurts. You go get your friends. Little girl's having a sleepover.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think so. That's really cool. So we got pizza for them, and then we'll talk politics.
Absolutely. So, People's Party of Canada, they're looks like anti everything that people were kind of working on and getting over. Which again, knock yourselves out, guys. That's fine.
Time to move on, though.
There are some things that we can like. Here's the thing: a lot of people, PPC, their whole shtick is just CPC. What the hell is CPC?
Conservative Party of Canada.
That's the thing too. No, Communist Party of Canada.
No,
I'm
CPC
thinking-
is that's the conservative, and yeah, you're pretty accurate. That's how it's conservative in name only.
Well, okay, Conservative Party of Canada. So that's your Polyev.
Oh yeah, correct.
Okay, Polyev is your CPC. I didn't realize they were calling it CPC. I'm not good with acronyms. Look at me. So you've got different people that are voting different ways. And I see this going in a way that maybe people aren't expecting.
Which way?
Well, if you look at what's that sound? If you look at the polls,
Yeah.
now the polls are saying one thing. Obviously, they always will.
We do.
Do the
Turn some
early
lights
votes
on
go in
there.
early, or do they are or they counted last?
They count twice.
338 Canada federal polls. Let's see this.
I don't know what if there's any different change in protocol with
So,
early votes.
The Liberals at 42%, they went up by 5. 38% for the Conservative, they went up 4. NDP went up 2 at 9%. The Bloc, I'm trying to figure out how the Bloc is even a party. Aren't they kind of a separatist group?
Well,
And
really, they're a provincial group, so it's very questionable why they're even there.
Right. And the Green Party is still hanging in there. Like, I have a feeling if you're voting Green, you're just trying to keep them in there, like so they still have a place to sit at the at Parliament. Because I don't think they have a whole lot of. I don't think they have a whole lot of voice.
I don't think so. They sure don't talk. Sorry, I'm just closing some windows here because I've got way too much stuff open here. But you're right. They're just they don't. I mean, we don't have a running guard here, so that's a little bit of a problem. And can you go get the door, please? Oh my goodness.
So, got us bad with a PPC nut job on X. Here's the thing: if you know what I like about live streaming, this is what I like about live streaming. If somebody
you're getting real life right now because I'm running around trying to get the kids all settled. Come on in, girls.
If somebody wants to get into an argument with us, they have to do it live. And
Yes.
arguing on X or arguing on any of these social platforms when the person is going to get to that message eventually.
Just go downstairs.
I mean, I would let anybody debate us on stuff. We're not really debating, though. We're just talking about this. Now,
exactly.
Here's my question.
Of course, it would be fun to have some debates, but then again, we would have to do our homework then.
We got our homework right here. It's called Google.
AI,
oh, you know what?
Right?
You know what I haven't checked with AI? Who will win Canada's
Got in spat with PPC nuts on X. Okay.
Oh, he can't help. Here's something interesting. AI cannot tell me that.
No, they don't know. The AI cannot tell. The AI is getting a little more restrictive in some of the things.
Who has the best shot?
It'll just give you a compilation of the poll data, if anything.
The latest poll suggests that the Liberal Party, led by Mark Carney, is currently the favorite to win most seats, with 81% probability of securing the majority government. The Conservatives are holding steady, but unlikely to surpass the Liberals. The Democrats. So,
can you check?
Here's the thing: didn't we think that the what kind of dog do you have?
This little depressed little guy here. Where is he? That's a Morkie.
Oh, little snacker.
Yeah, pretty much. He's bite sized.
Pretty much.
A little Morkie. His name is Nilo. Can you go?
No. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
So they must have had a communication error because my daughter went looking for her friends, and her friends just showed up here. So now the other girl is going to go look for the other daughter, and I bet they're going to miss each other.
They'll figure it out.
Right?
They will. So you can have friends that are friends and friends that have different points of view with politics.
Yeah.
And somehow that can sour a friendship, which makes no sense to me at all.
No,
it doesn't make any sense.
You should be allowed to have different views. I mean, we don't need to have some polarizing. It shouldn't be tribal where people have one belief structure, and I'm only going to associate with people who feel that way.
Well, and there are people
that have
a belief.
Look at the states, though. You literally have people moving out of like California or whatever to two other red states, and people from red states moving to blue states just so they can get around people who are like-minded mentality, right?
Well, my mother has a place in Texas, right? And the people she lives on a golf course, and people on one side of the golf course are all Republicans, and the ones on the other side of the golf course are all Democrats. And
do they shoot golf balls at each other?
They get along, but I mean, they got to stop talking about politics. Like, if you had let's just say you were a hardcore Green supporter.
Sure, let's go for it. Yeah. Okay. Because that's plausible.
And I'm a hardcore
Bloc
NDP
Québécois.
guy, Bloc Québécois, because I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But you can believe in whatever they're selling you. Okay.
Yeah, you buy into
My
the
question-
Kool-Aid real quick.
People buy the Kool-Aid, or they go by what has been.
Yep.
Well, they've done this in the past. Yeah, I'm sure everybody's done a lot of shit in the past. But
Well,
I'll
that's
give you an
the thing.
example.
Get over it, eh?
I'm okay. I'm going to ask whoever's in chat, how do you vote when you're there? Because our son they were doing a mock election at their school. Okay. And they were doing basically he asked me, he goes, how do you vote, Dad? I go, well, okay. What are you hearing so far? He goes, well, some people don't want to vote on because of this and don't want to vote for that guy. And I look at that as saying, hey, Jay, what do you want for supper? And you say, not Mexican. I'm like, okay, what do you want? Well, I don't want pizza, but what do you want? I don't want fried chicken. Okay, what do you want? When all you're saying is I don't want this, that means you're voting for nothing.
You have to, let's talk about what you actually want as opposed to what you don't want.
Right. So I told Gage, I said, listen, you have to look at the facts, look at what they're putting on the table, and what is there that speaks to you? What are they putting out there that you want?
Right.
Like if you vote against the boogeyman, then you're not voting for anything. You're just voting against something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the cop-out way to do things, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I asked ChatGPT, what is the difference in policy from Bloc Québécois and Green? It won't give it to me. It just says there's something seems to have been wrong. So I must have broken AI.
You must have broken AI.
Yeah.
AI is not going to get in the middle of this because a lot of people are probably asking AI to help make the decisions for them right now.
Well, I just want to know what's the difference between the two of them, and it won't give me an answer.
Is there? Maybe that's the answer. Is there a difference? Is there a difference between any real party?
Right.
Like you're split off.
Who's? Yeah, it won't give me anything on political at all.
No,
so
because we're too close to an election, and you don't want AI. Right. Like it's almost like AI has a conscience all of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's almost like it's alive. Oh, maybe it's not working. It's not doing anything right now for me. There we go.
Mine's being stubborn too.
Who's the favored one to win right now?
According to this, it's close, but it's 42% to 38% for the Liberals. Now, this is where that's the poll, but this is where I look at what happened in the States because there was a chance that Kamala had a chance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then boom, landslide.
Not even a chance. Yeah.
Went the other way. So how accurate are the polls? How accurate is the reporting? Because if you're looking at CBC or any of the mainstream media, who's paying their bills?
Yeah.
And what are they going to report?
I would agree with that. For one thing, CBC is paid for with government dollars. Mm-hmm. But also, do you remember when it was Harper versus Trudeau? And every major news outlet called the win for the Conservative Party that year. Right. Front page news right across the board. Say, how is that any different from using, like, seriously, when it's very wealthy people who are using their clout to front page news declaring a victory in an attempt to sway it, right?
Well, you're right. Now, but here's the thing. Evan's got a point. Who gets polled? Have you ever gotten polled?
Yeah, well, no, I keep not hanging. I don't answer it. But the number of phone calls I've been getting is being
I have
crazy.
never gotten one. I've never been polled. And so here's the question. Who's got the time to sit there and have this conversation with somebody who's polling them?
It's usually old people.
Right. Now, when I ran for municipal office, if there was one thing I was told, get to the senior centers, get to the senior centers.
They show up.
Well, they do it right there. Right?
Oh,
they do
they?
it right.
Okay.
Yeah, they do it right there. So you've got a captive audience, and it's a thing, and it's a social outing for a lot of people. Yeah. The people that are working 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or shift work, they have trouble getting to the polls. They're not going to get polled. Yep. They're like, here's the thing. You and I are too busy to answer that call.
Well, the only way you can really find out is by looking at the poll data, which I'm sure is available because they'll tell you which age demographic actually answered to.
I'm looking for it. What would I be asking for that?
Good question.
Election polls,
Raw data
age,
or age demographics. Official voting for well, that was because you can get the official voting date raw data. That's data on the polling. There you go. So
Oh, here we go.
so you can get information on these sort of things. You can even get the full count of number of votes. So I mean, you can go down to Brandon. Brandon Surcer's
But I'm trying
12,000
to
people
figure
who
out.
early voted. Like in the early election, preliminary count of voters who voted at advanced polling was 12,000 in Brandon Surce. That's impressive. You know, that's pretty damn good. I'm going to say that. Manitoba had estimated number of electors who registered on April 25th. Manitoba had 950,000 people registered to vote.
So I'm looking at this. The last election was the 44th federal election, which happened in 2021. Okay.
Yeah.
How many people do you think voted? Now, we had 7.3 million people who just voted in the early polls. Okay. Early election.
Okay. So I'm going to say it was, well, how many people were in Canada at that point in time? 35. So I don't know, 5 million.
Okay. In the last election?
Yeah.
No, 17 million people voted in the last election.
Okay.
Okay.
I was trying to be purposely really low on that one.
Which is a voter turnout of 62.5%. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if 7.3 million have already voted, that is unheard of. The highest number they had was 5.8 million.
Yeah, that was in 2021. So it's a 25% increase.
Right. So then you got to look at who voted and where can this go? Do I think that if you had to look at a crystal ball, who do you think is going to win? And we can say Liberals because it looks that way.
Honestly, I think it will be the Liberals. I think it will be. That's kind of the feeling that I get. Now, I mean, what do I know, right? Because
you know a lot. You know lots of stuff.
But not the right stuff, when it comes to this, right?
You know lots. I gotta do something here. Hang on.
Make sure you wash your hands.
Okay. So I'm gonna mute my mic for a second because I gotta blow my schnotter.
When is the election?
It's on Monday.
Is it on Monday? Opinion polling for the 2025 Canadian federal election. I mean, so as much as we want to say, okay, polls don't have a lot of meaning, okay? Because right now we have the Liberals up, okay? And people are saying polls don't have a meaning. But let's take a look at it back in January when it was completely flip-flopped. Right now it's like a 99% chance of a Liberal victory according to the polls. But in January it was a 99% chance of victory for the Conservatives.
Right. So now did that change because everybody got scared of the orange guy downstairs?
I think a big part of it did. I think one of the biggest things that changed was that people were really done with Trudeau.
Right, but now they're very done with Trump, but Trump's not here.
No.
Like, does everybody think that a conservative is a conservative a Republican? Is a Canadian conservative a Republican?
Well, no, but there's interconnect. There are similarities, right?
Okay. In what way?
Well, they do have a lot closer relationships to each other, for one thing. You do have Stephen Harper, who was acting an advisor to the Republican Party in the United States for a while, too. Right? And then you look at the back history of how how it used to be the progressive Conservatives who merged in with the Alliance and the Reform Party. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing whatsoever. It's just there are similarities when it comes to political leanings, right? Now, they're also not Republican in the same instance.
No, we don't have American politics here, right?
Right? It's just like the Liberals, there are not Democrats in the same form, right? There's still very different parties.
No. Like if you met me on the street, what would you think my affiliation would be? What do you think I'd be? Conservative, liberal, NDP?
Good God, I would say that you're probably more of a centrist, pretty central, and it's like your vote probably sways depending on the election, depending on the year, and the person who votes or
Well,
who's running.
like I said, I have to have a reason to vote. So I needed a point to be made that was going to lock me in.
Yeah.
Right. So as much as I like a lot of the conservative ideas,
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of Polyev because he seemed
Okay.
like, have you ever met the cocky kid that hung out with the big guys in school and was very, very lippy but never got punched in the mouth? That's what he reminded me of.
That's fair. Okay.
However, he's not an idiot and he's been doing this a long time. There was nothing drawing me to the liberal side because of the last 10 years.
Right.
So I looked at this election as kind of an IQ test for Canadians. I'm like, okay, where are you going to go? Do you like what was? If you like what was, then vote for what is.
Yep.
Or sell me on it. Your job is to sell me on voting for you.
Well, I mean, really, they should be doing that anyways. When it really comes down to it, like I get it. On one hand, when the party has certain policies, they want to follow suit and go that direction. But also, it's like, if everyone is saying this is a bad idea, you need to really re-examine that. Maybe maybe the problem is you.
Maybe. And if you say, well, I'm just going to throw my vote to the Green, then why go out? Like,
that's the thing.
You're literally doing nothing.
Also, I'm also not very much of the, like true blue, true red, or, whatever, forever, because and this isn't for everyone, because I know people who are very staunch liberal, staunch NDP, staunch blue, and they have reason. They have good reason. Okay, I mean, that's fantastic. But we also have a lot of people who are who vote certain ways because they don't really even understand. And I remember having that talk with there was a couple of us at my place. We were talking to another staff member. This was years ago about the vote. And she goes, well, I like this and I like this and I like this. These are the things that are really important to me. That's why I'm voting for this party. And it was literally the opposite for what that party was working for. And we're like, no, wait, hold on. That's not what that party really stands for. Those aren't the policies. Why are you going to vote for them? Well, they're supporting these things. And we're like, no, they're not. They're opposed to those issues.
Right.
But
and it's what's important.
It's crazy.
It comes down to what's important to people.
Yeah,
that's a little weird. When I went municipal and I was going door to door to door to door to door.
Yeah.
What do you think I talked to you about this already. What do you think that the biggest concerns were the people had locally? And don't say potholes.
Costco.
Oh, Christ. The city can't build a Costco, but yes. Okay. Lack of stores. Yeah, that's not a city decision. That's a Costco decision.
Not enough Red Lobsters.
Not enough Olive Gardens. No, it was crime.
Probably crime.
And education.
Yeah.
Not enough police, not enough schools. Yeah. Right. And there's no doubt it's hard to get people into those lines of work. And you can't just build a school at the flip of a switch.
No.
But that's what people were concerned about. People wanted safer streets and better education for their kids.
And you're right. You can't just build a school. Okay. But let's take a look at the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
How many schools do we have in comparison to 25 years ago? We've built one more and closed one.
Right. So we're exactly where we were from 25 years ago.
Right.
And how much is Costco going behind Wendy's? That'd be the smallest Costco you've ever seen in your life, man.
It maybe be like a consumer distributing.
Consumers distributing?
Yeah, exactly. Just run it that way.
There's a blast from the past.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to charge my phone. I got to get a charger.
That's fine.
I mean, you can't put a Costco there, man. No way.
No, you need
you need a
12 acres.
How many square
12
feet?
acres of land. Yeah, it's
right?
big.
Yeah.
But when you look at the concerns that people actually had versus boogeyman mentality, I mean, I would do if someone said, "Hey, we're going to charge you an extra 4% on your taxes to build more prisons. Take my money. Take my money." And if there was something that sold me, that pushed me in like, it's a point that goes this way, then a point that goes that way. When Polyev went on and said, if you are a mass murderer, if you are in and out of jail all the time, you are going to. What about a Costco or Staples?
No, it's not big enough.
That's not big enough either. Not big enough.
No, not even
You need
close to big enough.
You need
You need
Keystone
that
Center
whole-
ground.
Exactly. Yep. Not even close.
Yeah, and that doesn't exist.
So
Where was I
Polyev
going
and
with
his 3 strikes. 3 strikes.
Yeah, so 3 strikes, which is the same thing that you get in the States, right? 3 major felonies, you're not leaving until you're completely rehabilitated, minimum 10 years. Makes sense. If you're a mass murderer, you're not going to do 3 20-year life sentences at once. You're going to you're going to do them one after another, which means you're leaving in a box, which again, that's fine. Do I think that'll make it more dangerous for law enforcement? Yes, because if you're dealing with someone on strike 3, they're going to be a whole lot more panicky to not go with you.
You're not taking me alive,
right?
copper.
So there's the dichotomy of that is you have we have overcrowded jails, and they're in and out, which isn't helping. Like in Vancouver, there was 400 criminals that were arrested 6,000 times. Or 40. It was a ridiculous number of people that were just arrested. So have some sort of rehabilitation, have some punishment that really fits the crime, and let the people that are on the street do their job, and the system does this job.
Just take a little bit of the finger off of every crime.
Oh my God, they'd be stumpy pretty fast. Man alive, everybody wants a Costco in town.
But yeah, exactly. They really do. But can you really imagine if that was the punishment, for like any major crime, we're going to take a quarter of an inch off of your finger, and eventually you're going to get to the next 2 fingers too.
You're going to have a tough time playing the banjo.
Right? But you know what? You might get that once, but, it takes quite the person to go, I think you got into my wrist, and I'm still not ready to reform.
Here's the thing. I still believe that a person can change. Okay. I'm playing devil's advocate because I've had angels and demons in my chair over the years. I have guys that were pieces of shit who have turned their lives around. I've also had good guys, good people that flush their lives down the toilet. It can go either way. Right. And the ones that I've seen that went from a life of, dude, heavy crime.
Well, some people definitely have gone through some crap.
Well,
but
and there's some loss that happens.
Then you get.
Go ahead.
You get some people who just can rebound from things too. It definitely takes a certain amount of resiliency for people to get.
Well, I think you have to learn. You have to kind of learn your lesson, right? Like there has to be something that's going to shift your mindset. And sometimes it's family grows. We could repurpose the New York Finances Island into a supermax prison. Here's the problem. I don't think that's here. You're talking about a supermax prison like an island, like Australia. They tried that once. I don't think it worked.
Yeah. No. Well, it did, but no, I want
banishment. Like, I don't think banishment's the answer either, guys. Like, banishment was a thing back in the early 1900s.
The Viking years.
Years. No, I think that.
So hear me out. Forced military service.
Here's the thing. When I was a kid, I remember we were farming north of Dauphin. And my grandfather would have, and he called them jailbirds that would come to work at the farm. And he'd hire 3 of these guys, and they would work on the farm, and they were fine.
Did they have chains around their ankles too?
No, they were just there. And my grandmother fed them, and they hung out, and they were helping with harvest or whatever they're doing. I mean, I'm sure they were not a flight risk, but I mean, there are people that are willing to get themselves back into society, and I'd be willing to bet this.
That was what,
the 80s.
That was like the 70s.
It was the 80s.
So they had just changed the criminal law from what was it like? Um, People will be imprisoned for as punishment or for punishment as opposed to as punishment. So that got rid of all the hard physical labor that they were encouraged to do or something,
But
right?
they were they volunteered. Like there were certain guys that
Yeah.
got the
But you couldn't do
no,
that
but they had the
anymore,
opportunity to
right?
get out of the jail for a bit and work on a farm,
Mhm.
and they were fine. We never had an issue at all. But it was a different time.
Pizza. Yep. This is Domino's.
Ooh,
My girls love Domino's.
really? I used to
Okay.
work at Domino's. I was a delivery driver for them. And driving a 1976
Of course
Toyota Celica.
So, nice. So my theory on everything on quality is based on Domino's pizza.
On everything?
Domino's pizza, everything. Domino's is the baseline.
Okay.
Okay. You don't really want to go below Domino's.
That's Little Caesars.
okay. Like this Little Caesars. That's Mr.
Stev?
Bones. Remember that? With like 9 for 1 pizzas or something.
Have you seen the
right?
have you
Something
seen the
crazy
nuclear
like that.
reactor that they cook a pizza in 7-Eleven? From
Oh,
frozen to burnt
no.
in 2 minutes?
Oh, brilliant.
They have a little
That's great.
crematorium in there.
So you don't want to go
No.
below. But then above, you're gonna get, Boston pizza, you're gonna get Pizza Express, you're gonna get Marino's, all those pizzas, right? Because they're better, they're higher quality
Yeah.
pizzas, right? But the thing is, sometimes you just don't want a lot of good pizza. You just want a lot of mid pizza.
This is
You
where
know?
the comparison to sex and pizza comes down to it.
Uh-huh.
Like
yes.
even when it's bad, it's still pizza.
It's still
And it's
pretty
still
good.
pretty good. Like, I've never had a pizza I don't like. I'll
Exactly, right?
eat a Little Caesars. I mean, it's not awesome.
Yep.
But I'll still eat it.
Yep. But
It's
it's
fine.
okay. But so you go for Pizza Express or Boston or something. How big of a pizza can you eat? Because eventually you're just like, I'm done, right? You can eat this shit all day.
in
Like it
a
doesn't end.
pinch,
It's like the Bud
Here's the
Light of
thing, in a
pizza.
pinch-
You can have 20 of them and you're
and
still
for
good.
a guy, a pizza pop will satisfy you. Make it yourself.
Yeah.
It's still pizza, kind of.
Yeah.
But you're not
But
sharing
it's
it with
kind of
anybody.
pizza. No. You're not telling your best friends, like, hey guys, want to go get some Domino's?
Anybody want to go for pizza
No.
pops tonight?
Yeah.
You're not taking a date out for a pizza pop. No, you're
Exactly.
enjoying that by yourself.
So, I mean, everyone's dated a girl like that too, where it's just like you didn't want to tell anyone either, right?
As the saying goes, you got to slay a few dragons before you get to the princess.
That's how it is, yeah.
I don't have a pizza I regret eating, on the other hand. Right?
I do. Holy shit. You didn't get rural. Some of those rural pizza places are just the most terrible thing
You know what?
ever think
There's
of.
one restaurant that ruined me for wings.
Yeah?
It's not here anymore, but they had the best wings, and nobody compares. Kelsey's had the best
Who's that?
wings.
Seriously.
Kelsey's had the. I remember getting
Is that why you married your wife? Because she reminded you of wings?
maybe, but not if I tell you what my
Yeah.
favorite wings were. They had.
Okay.
They could get the medium extra sloppy.
Blue
No.
cheese or something.
You can get them. You can order them extra sloppy.
Extra
Yeah.
sloppy Kelsey's
So-
wings.
They had. What they would do is they would toss the wings in the bowl and put them in, and then they dump the bowl over your wings, so you had extra sloppy wings.
Oh,
All over your face.
Gross. Oh, so when I worked at Pizza or Boston Pizza, okay, the idea of back then with hot wings was throw the wings into a thing and covered in Tabasco sauce and chili peppers, right? And they're inedible, and people are like, are they too hot? It's like, no, they're too gross. Is what the problem.
I will go
is.
through my phases. Oh my god, I should have bought them, but they didn't. We were in Winnipeg, and there's this candy store. I shit you not, they had sriracha filled gumballs.
Oh, that'd be good.
I
Yeah,
almost did
that'd
it,
be
but
good. Sriracha's not
no,
hot.
but in a gumball.
Sriracha is
Do you
not
want to
hot.
chew on a sriracha gumball?
Oh, imagine that squirting out as he chewed on it, squirting your friend in the eye or
Could
something.
you imagine
right?
biting into that and squirting your buddy in the eye across the table? How do you explain that?
Oh, it's so
Jay got me.
so liquid chlamydia here.
Jesus
It's just like, it
You would try
burns.
Zuma. You would try a sriracha. Okay, there's a candy store. We're in the outlet mall because I need to buy runners, right? And Under
Yeah.
Armour has, if I'm lucky, one pair of size
The outlet
15s,
mall
right?
there. Yeah.
And there's a candy store across, and they just got these things in, and I just couldn't get myself to buy them. Like, as much as I want to, why would I do this? But they have
Yeah.
fiery hot gummy bears, and they have sriracha filled gumballs.
So you buy those and you put one or two in a bowl with regular gumballs, and then it's like Russian roulette when people come over.
Someone gets a mouthful of sriracha and they're not expecting it.
Oh, I can imagine. Just and you will never know when it was. And then just for 1 second, every time a person takes the gumball, you just offer when they come in for a haircut.
What's a
Candy,
gumball? Have one.
straight face.
But
And then they toss it in their mouth, and you watch for the reaction. You're like,
you're lucky.
bastard.
So
Don't even.
and here's the
follow
thing: we can all agree on pizza. We can all agree on sriracha. We can all agree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Why are we so torn when it comes to our politics? When the only time people tend to give a shit about it is during an election.
Yep, exactly. I have heard from so many different people of like all political colors. This is the most important election in
Every
my
one of
life.
them is.
I'm like, every one of them is. Like they're all
Mhm.
important. Like it's all a big deal.
My thing is,
Hell, I remember one year I voted NDP federally.
really? I
Yeah,
believe that.
imagine that. I didn't even see that coming. That was back when I remember I did a political, like where you are in the political
Right.
sphere. They ask you all these questions, and it popped up and it said, "You are a liberal." I was like, "No, I'm not." Like, come on now.
There's nothing wrong with liberals. They're fine. They're peaceful.
No.
They think we can hug it out.
Exactly. But yeah, that was the year that Jack Layton was running.
And
the
Jack
party.
Layton was the right man on the wrong party.
I think Jack would have been a fantastic, a very good statesman.
I believe so. And that was our last gentleman who he was a nice guy. Like, I remember my buddy Jimmy, who has a barbershop up in Yellowknife. Layton came.
He didn't have nice hair though.
No, but he came to the barbershop. He came to Jimmy's
really?
barbershop, and he hung out. He just hung out and kind of shot the shit with people. And that's what you need. You know what kind of politicians I like? Even municipal politicians. Okay.
Yep.
I love the ones that don't have to remind you that they're at the table. Can you act like a human being for me for a minute?
Yep. Okay, take the mask off.
Take the mask off.
So
Yeah.
I will completely say I've only had one candidate come to my door, and it was a conservative candidate. And he came in, it's just really personal, really cool, good to talk to him.
Yeah.
It was great. I only talked to him for a couple minutes because I was running, but I was like, thanks. I said I really do appreciate you showing
Yep.
up because no one else ever does.
Well, when I was going door to door,
but also it's like it's humanizing.
yeah, when I
right?
was going door to door, it was the same thing. And I was writing everything down. I was like, hey, no, I need to know what you want.
Yeah.
Kelsey I don't know what I was doing, but I guess somebody came to the door and asking if you're going to vote or do you need more information? And she goes, no. She goes, I think my husband sort of has all the information that we need in the house. And she goes, is your husband quitting? She goes, yeah. She goes, oh yeah. You probably got all the information you're going to need from him. Because here's the thing, I hear it. So I hear it from everybody. I get liberals, I get NDP, I get conservatives, I get everybody in my chair or meeting at the office, whatever it is. And although you say you should never talk about politics or religion, it comes up, especially during an election.
You should talk about politics and religion.
Now, do you think that from the people that I've talked to, do you believe that they're that far apart?
In the reality, the big things, okay? I think that there are so many points that are so similar. Number one, everyone wants what's best for the country, okay? And that's also what's dangerous. Everyone truly believes, and there's nothing more dangerous than a true believer,
Right?
Okay, because they're not going to be swayed because they truly feel that this is the best thing you could possibly do for everyone
Right.
on board. Okay, and it's very hard to sway a person like that. But when it comes down to it, as much as the Liberals, the NDP, the Green, the Conservatives, they fight that, you said this, you said that, you said that. Those are just the points to infuriate people. And when it really comes down to it, they might be ideologically apart from a few things, but I think there's a ton of common ground because it comes down to compromise
I think
as
there is.
well. But now we're not really, because we've turned into such like a two-sided party system like the United States. People are no
Right.
divided.
So,
right?
like, I'm going to ask Pebbles because I got 2 points. Evan said, "Is it just me or people not getting lawn signs like they used to?" You're correct. I believe that people aren't. It's how do I put it? People are worried about getting judged for who they vote for when there was a time when you just said, this is what I'm sticking with. So I believe that people will chastise you for voting whatever way you vote. They're going to think you're a certain type of human being because you have a red sign, a blue sign, a green sign, or a whatever sign. Now, Pebbles, I got a question for you. You voted for green once. Why? You don't have to share it, but I'm curious because I have to have a reason to vote, not I won't throw away a vote. Someone has to sell me on the idea. Like, it's like,
Well,
if
you
you're going
already
to sell me
voted.
your car.
Too late now.
Oh, I know who I voted for. And
You
I
know
voted
who you
based
voted
on
for. I hope you know who you voted for.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I voted. I also marked it in pen, by the way, because I don't trust anybody. But why do you make the decision you make? And is it because of what's happening right now? I look at the world in 5 years. So
Yeah.
whoever I vote for right now, what's the shit show
Yeah.
that's going to be left when they're gone? So in year 5,
Yeah.
what do we look like?
Yeah.
Now, if I take the last 10 years, I'll say, well, I know what we got, and that's probably not going to change much. What would it look like if we changed after this guy's gone? A year after whoever wins is gone, what do we look like? And
Yeah.
that's how I base my vote.
Yeah.
Is the future. How are my kids going to react? Like, how will my kids be able to one day buy a home? Will my kids be able to go to a university of their choice? Will my kids be able to X, Y, and Z? Because eventually you and I are going to be like the boomers where we're going to be sitting back saying, you know what? We're good.
Yep.
And is the next generation screwed? I don't want that for my kids. And I still have to, we have to grind it out every day.
Exactly.
But what does the world look like for
I
them?
mean, that's the difference with a lot of people. Okay, so some people are big picture thinkers, right? They look at vision, whereas some people, quite simply, they don't. They're looking at what are their immediate needs at this point in time, right now. This person will give me lower taxes, or this person will fight Trump, or whatever. It's like, okay, that's good, but these are fleeting moments that are going to be gone very quickly.
So I'm trying to figure out, how does somebody, like, let's just say a person is liberal, and I'm talking like the extreme liberal, right? The extreme liberal.
Yeah, yeah.
How does an extreme liberal, what that looks like? You got the picture in your head. How do you vote for the person that Trump endorsed? How do you vote? Like, your head would explode. How do you vote for the person that Trump wants to win?
Well, which one? He endorsed two of them.
He endorsed Carney last.
And he also endorsed Poilievre earlier in the year.
Before he won the election. Before he became president.
No, afterwards, because it was after January 6th. So
okay, sure.
It's a game.
Yeah.
It's a game.
I think we have to stop worrying about.
And unfortunately,
Go ahead. I think we have to stop worrying about Trump.
I think when Trump endorsed him, I think realistically the best thing is to do is establish some better global partners and move away from that toxic relationship more than anything. But when Trump, I think, endorsed Carney, that didn't work out in the way that maybe people wanted it to.
Now, here, you know what I love about what Pebble just said? I asked her why she voted green one day, and she goes, lived in a small community at the time, never really understood about anything or who to vote for, and I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Again, if you don't know, you don't know. Well, at least but here's the thing. She voted. She went out and she voted.
Yep.
Which is good.
Yep. So a friend of mine once said to me, when he was young, he was more NDP or green NDP. And when he got a little bit older, he became more liberal. And now that he's, like in his 50s, he's more conservative. Right. And a lot of it is also because when you're younger, you don't have as much. You kind of want more support structure. You want more help from the government. And as you get older, you're becoming more self-sufficient and more independent. You start relying less on the government and more on yourself, in
Right.
theory. But then as you get even older and you start relying more on government programs again, you start going back over to the
Right.
land.
But I think that if you were the person that worked and worked hard and always worked hard, you wouldn't trust that the government's going to look after you. If you've earned every dime you've ever had.
Ronald Reagan said, it's like what Ronald Reagan said, the things you never want to hear is we're from the government and we're here to help.
It all comes to the price.
And I
of it.
mean, I get it. Ronald Reagan wasn't exactly the best one to have a comment from, but he still has.
But I would say that Reagan was the last. Was he a Democrat or a Republican?
He was
Okay.
Republican. Yeah, to the
Right.
core.
So, but this is always
the actor.
the actor. But okay, let's go back
Yeah.
to Reagan and look at what we have now. Remember back when you would watch the
Yeah.
debates? Like you go back, and we're watching this in in social studies in high school, but these were
Right.
educated gentlemen having a conversation about topics that mattered. It wasn't this.
Very much so. The debates were entirely
It wasn't this
different.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a reason for that, though,
Okay.
right? There's a very strong
Why?
reason. Okay. Because people's attention span has been reduced drastically. And we're also in the time when sound bites matter more than actual intellect when it comes to discussion. Okay. So, for example, it used to be like 12 seconds attention span. And then after, like in the early 2000s, sorry, they're
that's
loud,
fine.
it turned into people's average attention span was less than a goldfish.
Well,
Less than a goldfish. Now, okay, I look at a lot of the videos I put up on like Instagram.
yeah.
Okay, how many seconds does the average person watch on Instagram? 6 to
Okay.
8. Okay, TikTok 4.
Here's the thing, my TikToks, I get it. TikToks are the beast when it comes to short attention spans. That's why I never do anything
Yeah.
longer than a minute on TikTok, ever.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So what is the big winning way that people are using right now? It's slogans and taglines and podcast conversations.
But I'm talking about when they had the debate, and I listened to the debate, I watched the debate. The amount of interrupting that one party did every time somebody was speaking, like let the guy talk.
Yeah.
Shut up. He's got the floor. They almost need the talking stick and say, okay, I'm answering the question. Shut up for a minute.
Yeah.
And then you guys can talk. That never happened. 50s, 60s, 70s, even the 80s, even the 90s.
Yep.
There wasn't this bullshit where you were talking over each other and not making a point. Like
Yeah.
I'll say this: the NDP leader was continually interrupting. I'm
Yep.
like, dude, you're not even saying anything. You're just barking to make noise. Like, why are you doing this? Just let him speak and then rebut. Please rebut, but have a rebuttal.
Exactly.
Like,
But let the person actually formulate something that can be said. So this is what I did. Okay, I typed in why are the debates no longer civil and why is there such interruption? Okay, and it said ChatGPT goes, that's a good question, and it points to something deeper than just bad manners. Okay, debates today aren't often
beard's
aren't
brushing on your
civil
mic
for
like
a few
crazy.
key reasons. Number one, entertainment over substance.
Yep.
Debates have shifted from thoughtful discussion and to televised spectacle. Okay, to grab attention, interrupting, shouting, one-upping each other grabs people emotionally charged. Means a higher ratings, more shares, more clips going viral. Polarization. Society has become deeply polarized. Many people are now view political opponents not just as people they disagree with, but existential threats. Okay, number three, time pressure and format. The way modern debates are structured, short answer windows, time limits, quick rebuttals encourages people to jump in and dominate. Social media and leadership style. So people want their leader to be a fighter, tough, aggressive, even if it's rude.
You know what my favorite clip is? Like, whenever I think of Polyev, you know what I think of?
Yeah.
The apple.
Yeah,
When-
chewing the
When he's
apple.
chewing the apple,
Yep.
it's like, who said that about me? Like his don't give a shit was way up here. It's
Yep.
like, okay, if somebody said this, somebody said that about me. Who was it? Like, tell me who? What's your source? Like, I would love to know that.
Yeah.
Well, people like who?
Yep.
Like who? Like
Yep.
if there was that calm demeanor that I really enjoy, it's that. But he also looks like a guy's
Yep.
never been punched in the mouth. So there's that.
I like the calm, cool, collected politician now with somebody who, even though they're being interrupted on a continual basis, like just crazy, it's nice to have that person just be able to follow with a single track and continue with the message. So, but it comes down to it's the debates aren't about winning minds, convincing people, or anything. It's just about winning the moment.
I've been inspired by a politician in ever.
Name one that made an impact.
You know what the coolest thing I ever saw was Reagan, his first public speech after he got shot, when a balloon popped and he just said, "Miss me." Like,
yeah. Hey,
that was it. A balloon popped in the crowd. He goes, "Miss me."
That's good.
Perfect. Do you guys have budgie birds? Oh, that's his clones. Oh my God, you have budgies?
Yep. I used to have a budgie.
So why?
She escaped last fall.
And?
Never saw her again.
So why do you have the cage? In case she comes back?
Because my oldest girl has a hard time letting go.
Did you tell her that we were still looking for her?
No. She kind of has the idea that it's gone.
Okay.
You know? But I remember we were over at Dollarama over by Sobeys there. And, that place is, I've never been there where it's really busy.
Right.
Okay. So we went in there, and there's a lady from our neighborhood back there behind us in the line. And sure enough, the person in front of us had a shopping cart of Dollarama stuff.
Right.
I've never seen a full shopping
buddy mine Jeff spent
$1, $2.
Buddy mine Jeff spent $500 at
Right.
Dollarama once.
Okay, there you go. God, I can't even imagine that. But then the lady behind us, she goes, "Did you ever find your bird?" And we're like, no, we didn't. My daughter's pretty upset about it still, but trying not to really be weird about it. So I'm like, no, we didn't. We just think that she probably flew south for the winter, found some birds and flew south for the winter. And she goes, "Are you sure? I don't think they do that."
You know what just popped?
I was like, no, she was a pretty smart bird. I think she went somewhere. I don't know about that. Do you really think they did that? It got pretty cold, and she just kept going on without all the hints. She's just like, "Oh, no, budgies don't do that. They don't know directions."
You know what just popped into my head? Remember Dumb and Dumber when it was our dog, our pets' heads are falling off? You sold our dead bird to a blind kid?
Yeah.
Scotch taped
100%.
back on.
Scotch taped it. Pretty bird. But I looked at my daughter. I looked over at her, and she's just like, she's just like struggling.
Yeah, loss sucks.
And just being perfectly calm. And we walked out, and she goes, "Well, that was awkward."
Hey, Jay, Zumba Bernice has got a friend who has baby budgies.
Nope. Nope.
The bird went to the farm.
Nope.
Trump definitely. Trump shook up politics, but who's the last politician that inspired you? Was the last time you saw somebody from any level of government that were like, you know what, this guy gets it? I'm drawing a blank.
Clinton, he made every guy want to sit in that chair at the Oval Office.
Whatever happened to Monica?
She's still
Was
around,
she on
man.
Dancing with the Stars?
Basically, her career got ruined. Everything got ruined from that.
What career? She was an intern.
Yeah, I know. She never got very much further past that. Imagine being
she got
famous
past third. She got past third base.
Well, she finished off a few things, I guess, but
she finished off a few things. But
imagine that being your legacy.
There are worse ones.
But that is also not fair.
What's not fair? She did it.
But she didn't do anything wrong.
No,
right? There were no laws that were broken. And it's like all you had was consensual sex with somebody.
No. He didn't actually have sexual relations with a woman.
Oh, you're right.
According to the definition.
I did not. Yeah.
But
whatever.
He got in trouble for lying about it.
Yes, but that's also not a reason to impeach a person. Impeach
You
a
can't
president.
lie if you're a president. Wait a minute. Hang on a second. Wait a
Hold on
minute.
here. What are you talking about? This is a law
Apparently, you
against
can't
that?
lie. Apparently, there's a
When you're
law against
president.
lying. Thank God everybody's
Look at
honest.
the- So when the impeachment, did you ever take a look at who voted for impeaching him?
No,
All the Republicans.
because he
Who
was a
voted
Democrat.
to not impeach him?
So
All
wait
the
a minute.
Democrats.
So Clinton was okay. I think Monica said she'd hawk to on Trump if she.
Take one
Trump-
for the team, eh?
Here's the thing. Trump isn't a, what's the word I can use? I can't see him being a ladies' man. Clinton was a ladies' man.
You see his wife?
Have you seen his bank account?
Yeah. Smart girl.
Right. So Clinton was a charmer.
Yeah.
Poilievre's a married man, but I bet you there's some women that are like, you know what? Yeah. There were people that had a crush on Trudeau at one time because he was a young guy. He was
Trump's wife? Trump's
Trump's
daughter.
what?
That's right. Trump's daughter.
Really?
It was that, find yourself a woman who looks at you like whatever the
Like his
daughter's
daughter
name
looked
looks
at-
Trump, yeah. Looks at Trudeau, yeah.
You know what? There you go. Obama, correct.
Yeah, Obama was he, as much as some people did not like him, he was definitely a statesman, right? He
You know
had
what?
certain grace.
He could speak in cadence. He had a
Yeah.
charm. He was intelligent, and he spoke with purpose. And
He spoke higher than the grade 4 reading level.
he sure did. And I was in New York, and I have a vote for Obama pin that I got because I was in Manhattan right before the election.
Yeah.
And people loved him from whatever side of the political landscape you were. There was a reason to like Obama, and maybe that's the problem now. There used to be the you'd like something about him, even if you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you could find something
I
you
don't
like
know
about the
about
person.
that. The problem
Okay.
that he also dealt with was the fact that the House and the Senate was highly Republican at that point in time, right?
For
So there
sure,
was still a huge push against him.
there was. But if you talk to the person on the street,
Yeah.
most people would say, you know what, I do like that he was this, and you could say that you like. Okay, if you're a hardcore conservative,
Yeah.
you have nothing nice to say about Carney. If you're a hardcore liberal, you have nothing nice to say about Poilievre. However,
Yeah.
if you're a reasonable human being, you'd say, okay, wait a minute. Carney
There's
does
benefits to both.
Carney's got the chops as far as economics. He's got a
He
resume.
has a
that
global
says
connections. It's
he has
massively
global
globally
connections.
connected.
Right.
Can you imagine if
Could-
he ran for the Conservatives?
He would have been in the right party. But the problem is
Right.
he was with the Liberals for so long. So a reasonable human being would say, you know what? Carney has his good points. However, here's why I can't vote this way. And they say Poilievre has his good points. However, I can't vote for him this way. So why would I vote for this person instead of that person? A reasonable human being looks at, let's say you're hiring somebody. Okay. You've got 50 resumes in front of you. You
Yep.
can't hire all of them. You got to hire 10.
Correct.
You can't say that you love all of them. You can say, okay, this guy has some good points. However, this person has more that are going to work for me. You have to be reasonable in how you look at things. Carney is the closest
Correct.
to Trudeau. Obama was a great president, couldn't beat him. I think Trump is trying to beat
Closet
Obama.
Trudeau, he said. Closet Trudeau. Yeah.
Oh, a closet Trudeau. I thought it's closest. That's my.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that.
So again, let's look at it this way. If Carney ran for the Conservatives, would
Would
the
you vote for Carney?
Conservatives like him, and would the Liberals hate him?
Ooh, they sure would have to because he'd be conservative. However,
So now, is it about the partisan, or is it about what's best for the country, right? So
right. So what are you voting for? The man or the policies? I vote on policy. Your personalities change. Personalities
Yep.
change. Once you're in office, you're a different human being. No
Hold
matter
on
what.
here. When did you vote? Because the Conservatives didn't release their policies officially until Wednesday.
Why are you thinking that I voted Conservative?
I don't.
Oh, you sure do.
No, I don't.
When were the polls? When did I vote? Tuesday?
I don't know. When did you vote?
Whenever the early polling.
Because
was.
how could you make an honest decision before my point is, how do you make an honest decision before the policies were officially
Because I
released?
read my horoscope like everybody else.
There we go. That's how it is, right?
I checked my rune stones.
Flipped a coin.
I flipped a coin. Carney seems flippy floppy. Here's the thing. I think there's a lot riding on this election. There always is. We're coming out of a time that was very hard for a lot of people, and we're going into difficult times. We're going into some very difficult times. So, do you expect it to be easy? If you do, good luck. God bless you. It ain't going to be easy. If you're expecting to ride out a hell of a storm, then you better be backing someone who's ready to ride out a storm and go up against some shit.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm not here to tell a person how to vote. I'm not here to say that I'm right, that you're wrong, or anything. I think that we all need to make very educated decisions when we're looking at this and stop acting like it doesn't matter. You know how many people I've had in my chair that said it doesn't matter. It's chosen by Ontario.
Oh God! You know what? The number of times I've heard people go, like this isn't fair. Why is it Western Canada doesn't get a say? Because we don't have 10 million people living in Ontario.
That's right. That's right.
Like,
so
I had a big debate with a lady, and she was pissed off because of that. I said, well, okay, let's look at it this way. In your rural community, has the population increased or decreased? She's like, it's decreased drastically. Okay, they moved to the city, so that's why they create more cities, because there is more population in those cities, correct? And she goes, well, yeah. So technically speaking, with more people leaving rurally, you're actually getting a disproportionate amount of power based on the number of people you have living in the area.
Right. Well,
so
I mean,
what do you want? Do you want more votes for less people?
No, you don't.
Right? That makes no sense.
Well, I'm trying to get this. Mike's making a good point that I need to know if this is accurate.
Which part? He was an advisor.
Was Trudeau? Hang on a second. Now,
but did he actually listen to him?
I got in this conversation with somebody who's ultra on the left. I said, well, yeah. Carney was his advisor. No, he wasn't. Okay. Was Carney his advisor?
Right.
Was he? I'm sure he was. I'm not saying that I don't believe this. But I've had okay, here you go. Mark Carney joins
one of
Trudeau's Liberal Party as advisor on the economy.
Yeah.
And this is from September 9th of 2024.
Okay, so it's as ChatGPT, not officially, but Mark Carney is being closely tied to it.
Okay,
he advised Liberals on economic recovery plans during COVID.
Right, so he wasn't a hired hand. He was there.
Correct.
Isn't Elon Musk not a hired hand? He's just there?
That's actually a very valid point. Yeah.
So Musk has got as much pull as anybody who the leader trusts, right? Although he's not on payroll. Yeah. So was Mark Carney? Not officially, but I don't believe that Musk is on payroll either.
No.
So it doesn't matter if you're officially on the payroll or not. If you're the whisper in the ear, you've got some pull.
You still have some influence. Yep.
Right.
But also, does that mean that the leader is listening? Because there's been enough talk in the news of the breakdown in relationships between Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
You're hearing that. Now, here's one thing what I find very interesting is who's the most forgettable leader we've ever known? Is Trudeau still around? Like last time I saw him, he was at Home Depot.
No, it was Canadian Tire.
He tweeted at Home Depot, but it was Canadian Tire?
It was Canadian Tire.
Sure.
Tire. Yeah. Of course it was Canadian Tire.
What happened to the guy that was running the country for the last 10 years? Like,
well, he quit.
he quit. But I mean, you're not going to be you're not going to see him doing any TED Talks anytime soon, I'm sure.
No.
Like,
Oh,
what the
but
hell
dude,
happened?
I'd be getting out of there too. Get some distance. Because you don't want to soil the possibility of the Liberal government's next election, right? You need to distance yourself.
No, but if you look at other presidents who have come in or during campaigns, they would have a former president saying, "You know what? I 100% support this person."
Yes, but that
No
didn't
one,
work very well for Biden and Kamala, did it?
no, but no one called Trudeau saying, "Hey, you want to come and be on a commercial for me?" Saying that you think I'm the guy.
That's exactly why, because they know that backfires highly now. I mean,
Oh my
when Trump
god!
ran the first time, how many presidents stood up? Even the Bush got up and said, like, yeah, endorsed
Trudeau was door knocking for Carney. No,
oh, there you go.
I guess he had nothing else to do, really. I mean,
I don't know. I've got a picture of my daughter with meeting Trudeau. I took
really?
my daughter to go see Trudeau. Yep.
You know
That's
what? And I think
before he got into federal politics, before he was the leader of the party.
meeting
He
Trudeau
was
would
in
be
Brandon, right?
yeah. And you know what? I think that if a kid gets to meet a leader of whatever, that's a good thing. They should.
Well,
They should
that's
be
the
interested in
thing.
what's happening.
I took her. She was really young, and she's like, "Dad, where are we going?" Right? And I said, "Little girl, I'm gonna take you to meet the future Prime Minister of Canada."
This is before he
And back
won.
then, oh yeah, way before he won. He came to before he was in politics, but he hadn't actually. Neil, are you going out?
I
No,
think people liked him
he hadn't.
before
He
he
hadn't done
won.
anything yet. They liked
He
him
did
very much, actually. Like the room is filled with a lot of conservatives too.
true. Oh, Trudeau
Like
is still trying to figure out whether
the former Mayor
the
Rick
water
Barocic was
box.
there.
Do you remember that the paper water box things that he got that I've never heard of? The budget will balance itself.
Okay, so
Yeah.
those water boxes, as funny as that was, I remember when we were in Costa Rica, I opened up the fridge, and what have we got there? Boxes of water.
Yeah, I bet you that Trudeau didn't have those in Toronto. I think he was just grasping at straws for something to say.
I don't know. Probably.
Trudeau is still trying to figure out what water box. Here's the thing. I believe that considering what we've gone through in the last so long and how I don't feel we've had any strong world stage presence, that makes sense, in a while, that Canadians want to have that aura of what we're known for. And I believe that Canadians are known for being polite but tough. That makes sense? We're nice, but we'll slam you into the boards. And
I don't know if we're tough anymore.
We are. I think that what happened was we got watered down a bit, and our leadership did not help that. Do I think that I don't believe that Poilievre is a tough guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I believe that both him and Carney could get respect on a world stage. They could walk into a meeting and actually shake a hand, and people are going to respect them. They have equal footing on that, in my opinion. Yummy. Oh, how do we end up back with paper bags? The paper bag, I believe the paper bag was superior to a plastic bag because plastic bags, everything poked through. Paper bag, you can hold it on the bottom like you should. But with a paper bag, you can't carry 13 bags of groceries in at once.
That is a problem.
At least I can't. That was the problem.
Yep.
Weed was better when you could buy it from your local dealer. Legal weed is I believe. Right. Yeah, you're right. He won on the weed vote. I heard a funny story. It was Seth Rogen. He was on Stern, I believe. No. And someone asked him where he was buying his weed, and he said, "Yeah, I was still buying it from my guy, even after they legalized it in California." And he asked his guy where he got it from, and he was buying it from the dispensary and just selling it on the street. He's like, I have loyal customers. He goes, I was buying legal weed and I was selling it on the street. So, I mean, good on you. But yeah,
I was in Toronto. I went to a dispensary.
Okay.
And it was really quiet. Nobody was in there. So I'm just talking to the guy. because when you're visiting, you can be whoever the hell you want.
Sure.
So we're just talking about it and like what's the difference from the weed and all these things,
Mm,
and which ones like is there difference, right? And he
Right.
goes, he looks at me and you can tell he's passionately pissed. Like,
Okay.
oh yeah, you got to be really careful because so much of the stuff is complete garbage nowadays. I
Right.
was like, really? Why is that? And he goes, well, you get these companies, they're growing their pod. They're going to get good quality. They're going to get bad quality, right?
Right.
I'm like, okay. And he goes, the bad quality stuff is always tossed into things like the drinks or the gummies or all these types of things.
Makes
I was like,
sense.
that's fair. And he goes, it's all profit driven. Everything is profit driven now.
That's
There's
life. It should
no,
be.
and unfortunately, there is regulation, but most of the good stuff goes to medical anyways. So if you're going to a dispensary or like a store, you're not getting very good stuff.
See, here's the thing about
And
weed.
that's hearsay. That's hearsay.
Of course it is. Here's the thing about weed. I was never a weed guy. One,
Right.
asthmatic, couldn't smoke it worth a shit. Two, I never understood that. Like, I never considered that to be high. To me, that's not
Right.
high. Mushrooms, you're high.
That's a whole different game.
Right. Weed, I never got it. I'm like, it's like you're kind of drunk, but not really drunk. Like, I've never seen
Yeah.
anybody. I'm not I mean, not against anybody as a weed person, but I mean, that's not high to me. You're right. Plastic bags. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Plastic bags can be reused for so many different things. Picking up dog shit, picking up putting your garbage in. Yeah, plastic bags are fine. I'm not against plastic bag. I like the environment, but I hate plastic straws. There's that. Or paper straws. I hate paper straws.
Paper straws are
Um,
the worst things ever. Terrible ideas. No,
Yeah,
no,
they're-
actually, there is one thing worse than paper straws.
What?
It's the metal ones. Metal
Oh
straws.
God. You know what else could piss off anytime now? Wooden cutlery. Have you used those stupid things?
They're just shit. Bamboo
The s-
cutlery and all that garbage.
The
No.
spork, like I understand that you've used chopsticks for all the live long day.
Yeah.
However,
If you're going to use something bamboo, use chopsticks.
right, but
Not a spork.
but the wooden spork that you get from
Yeah.
whatever place, you can't scoop with it, you can't stab with it.
Nope.
You just shovel it.
Can't do anything with it.
Paper straws are hard garbage.
That's
And you know what?
it. And
If I want something,
you hope it doesn't
if I
break
want something
off.
to dissolve in my mouth, are you talking to me or are you talking to your dog?
Both. Dog, do you
As
want
soon-
to make up your mind?
If I go to a bar or a lounge and they serve me a whiskey sour with a paper straw, you have ruined my night.
Yeah.
McFlurry wooden stuff. Why wooden or bamboo? How is that better?
What?
Yeah,
It
the
isn't.
wooden cutlery.
It's terrible.
We were in Winnipeg this
It's
morning.
crime.
Right. We went to Winnipeg this morning and I got the scrambled egg bowl thing. And it had a bamboo spork, which, honest as shit, I would rather eat it with my fingers. But
Yeah.
I would look like
Those
a
things can
caveman
go to
doing
hell.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
those things can go to
I
hell.
love chopsticks. Like, Jay, do you carry chopsticks with you normally?
all the time.
Of course you do.
Switchblade chopsticks.
It makes sense. Now, why? Because
No.
it's superior to every single bamboo spork out there. And somehow
Yep.
this became a talking point for our government at one time. Plastic or single-use
Yep.
plastics. Horseshit. Tell you what. You can buy, have you ever bought what was it? What did I buy that was so ridiculously so much plastic? Like a flash drive?
Any toy?
This much
Oh, for packing. God, right?
this much plastic for something that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
like-
irony is when you buy scissors and they come like that.
oh, for Christ's sake.
How
I
do
don't
I
like
get it now?
Pebbles just took a personal shot at you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. That's racist.
It's not
In
racist.
3,000 years, we know better. 3,000 years, we know better.
You do, because here's the thing. Did they ever have to change what chopsticks are made out of?
No. Well, yeah, he did, actually.
Really?
Yeah. They used to be ivory.
Yeah, but how many rhino horns you get or elephant? Really, ivory?
Ivory, yeah.
I'd rather snort.
I learned to use an ivory once.
I'd rather you snort crushed glass off a dead hooker than use a paper straw ever again. Local gas station. I live in Dauphin Lake. Still has plastic straws. Wow.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. You know
I
what?
thought
Here's the thing.
McDonald's gave you like some sort of weird plastic spoon with a straw built in or something.
Oh, that's a stupid thing. Here's the thing. There,
Yeah.
where was I? I think it was Qdoba. Where if you get a drink from their fountain thing, they have. Why the hell don't they just have a flip top like every coffee cup you buy? Like I don't drink out of a straw at home ever. Like just
No.
drink it like a normal adult.
McDonald's does now, right? They have
Really?
a flip top. Yeah.
Just
So-
do that.
Or no, not McDonald's.
Just on the
It
straws.
was not McDonald's. It was Wendy's, I think it was. And it's a flip top for like why has nobody done this before?
They've been around for a long time. As long as coffee has been served in takeout cups, they've had a flip top. Just do that for a drink that's cold, and you're fine.
Right.
The McFlurry comes in a cardboard box with what the hell?
With a wooden cutlery? When did
For a
that
McFlurry?
atrocity happen?
It's ice cream,
No, really?
maybe. The only Chinese food you like is chicken balls. Well, you don't even need cutlery for that. You can literally flip them in your mouth. That's easy.
What was that show? With the lamb fries, right?
Lamb
Great
fries?
Outdoors with John Candy.
Yeah.
When they were
I'm
eating
familiar
sheep
with the movie.
testicles.
No, that was
Or was that?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I think.
No, that wasn't Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I've eaten
Because-
I've eaten prairie oysters before.
Really?
Yeah. So they used to serve them at Houston's. Used to buy them in a basket. They were like chicken balls, only
What?
smaller.
When
Yeah.
did they do that? I don't remember that.
Years ago. We used to be able to get a basket of prairie oysters, which were cow testicles that were they had them cut up and breaded like a chicken ball. I thought they'd be bigger. I thought it'd be like eating a plum, but no. They're like little chicken balls. And you would order them and
size,
just chow them
eh?
down. It should be like eating a plum. Like have you ever castrated an animal before?
No.
Yeah, so like cow nuts or deer nuts are about the same size. Like you're looking like that.
Huh. Kind of
And-
disappointing.
They're not bad. They're they taste like it's like white meat. Sadly, it's a white meat.
There we go. Yeah.
It is. Plastic straws are coming back. When I do drink, except for when I'm drinking the good stuff straight. Stainless steel straws, as for Allison Besser, the paper straws just paper straw. What sucks if they can make them where they just worked. Like my mom told me that she back in the day, straws were all made out of paper. Like back in the 60s, 70s, it was a paper straw, like those white and red, that pattern.
Yeah.
Was because they were made out of paper back in the day. But she
I
said
don't remember that.
but she said they
I
didn't
mean,
fall
that's before
apart.
my time.
I think they had a coating on them. These things dissolve in your drink, which pisses me off because then stop selling.
Oh, they would have been
liter and a half.
waxed. Wait a minute. Yes, they were waxed.
They were waxed, so they worked.
Yes.
Paper straw and frozen drink. Yeah, when you're sucking and nothing comes out. Yeah, it's the end collapses. And now what are you gonna do?
Ridiculous.
But I mean, that was a thing that somebody thought was the answer to all of our problems.
Yeah. I'll save the turtles, right?
What turtle? There was one turtle that had a straw in his nose.
So okay, so I remember in Germany, like there was some places where you get like fries that would come in like a carton. The carton was designed to be edible, so you ate the carton afterwards.
Okay, here's the thing, and let's just get back. Let's rewind for 2.5 seconds because this pissed me off. Remember when the 6-pack beer things, like the 6-pack plastic holders for your cans,
Yeah.
was killing fish?
Yes. Yeah.
You can still buy that. They still make that,
Yeah.
but they got rid of the plastic straw because one turtle had it in his nose. Like again, somebody make this make sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
No,
But, I mean
and
that's the whole point. Who was that? Who was that chick? That environmental, like Greta Thunberg or something? I think
oh,
it was,
how
or-
dare you? How dare you?
How
What is she
dare
doing now?
Where did she go? Did she have an OnlyFans yet, or what?
No. Oh God, what happened to
What happened
What?
to her?
She probably got arrested. What's her name?
Probably.
Greta?
Yeah, was it Greta? Greta happened.
Greta Thunberg. What was she, like 12 when she was in? The sad tragedy of Greta Thunberg.
She started an OnlyFans.
No.
she didn't. No,
No,
she
she
didn't. But that would be appropriate now.
Here's the thing. Everybody gets their 5 minutes, right? And she got her 5 minutes. She was big, but
How did you get big though? How? Don't tell me there wasn't
how
massive
did a
money behind
15-year-old
that.
girl from Sweden or wherever she was from get
Who
the
had
world stage?
Asperger's or something, right?
But how do you get the world stage? I mean, you and I could barely get an audience of 5, and she had the
God,
world
right?
stage, man. We're not that interesting, though. We're also not 15. She was
Not
protesting for
autistic either.
Palestine. Okay.
Oh, there's
Don't-
effective use.
I'm trying to. Here's my
That's
thing.
good. Do wonders for their cause.
I don't know. There are certain fights that will not end, sadly. I believe.
Correct. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Dog, do you want out or not?
That is not wrong.
Well,
You are putting a pretty good parallel between two fights that'll never end. Coke and Pepsi.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's the same,
Right.
but there's always going to be strong opinions on both sides. And
Exactly.
no different than, my God, that is the best analogy I've heard when it comes to the election. You have Coke people and Pepsi people.
That's true. Yeah.
Pepsi people will only drink Pepsi. For what reason? Because I
Only.
hate Coke.
Yep. Yep.
Coke people will only drink Coke because they hate Pepsi.
Yep.
Makes no sense.
No, not at all.
Jayon, do you want Jack? Pebbles is trying to get rid of pets.
No, I don't. I have one and two
How many-
girls.
How many
and a
pounds
wife.
of meat?
That's
How
enough.
many pounds? How many pounds of meat can you get off of Jack Russell though?
It's not worth it.
No, the filleting is hard, and they move.
The price isn't worth it. You know, like I remember I had a person come up to me and go, I heard that you actually use cats in your Chinese food in Chinese restaurants. Is that true?
Is it?
And I looked at him and I was like,
You've never
"No,
denied it."
good." I said, no, God, man, that's such a false lie. That's not even a thing at all. And he goes, oh, okay. I just kind of wanted to hear it from you. I said, have you seen the price of cat these days?
Oh, cats aren't cheap. Cats aren't cheap. But that's when you have that the would that be like the special? It's like a limited time special at the restaurant. It's like we only have this
Yeah,
for
the
the
daily
next 3
special.
days. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
It's
Coke
like
and
when
Pepsi.
you have the other white meat.
right? The other I mean, maybe. But the Coke Pepsi thing is so how people are so split in the vote.
Exactly.
It's only because I like this, I'll never like that. You know why I buy
Yep.
Coke? You know why I buy like Coke Zero? Out of
Why?
habit. It is not because one's better. You could line
Yep.
up every cola in front of me. I can't tell you the difference. I will never be able to tell you the difference. I buy.
Oh
I
my
would-
God. Like if I had a choice between Pepsi and Coke, that like Coke Zero, I'll
Right.
drink like I don't buy Coke Zero when I can avoid it because
Right.
I'll just drink that constantly.
Really? I don't think I can't.
It's stupid.
I can't remember the last time I had a straight Coke. Like I
Okay,
drink
the
it as
only
mixed,
thing-
and that's it.
The only thing I like more than Coke Zero is Fanta Zero.
They make Fanta Zero.
They make Fanta Zero.
God damn. But
Yeah,
okay,
it's not good.
Pepsi's more carb. Again, I drink it as mix. Now, if they don't, and the reason that I buy Coke Zero is because I've always ordered a rum and Coke. I've never said give me rum and Pepsi.
Yeah.
And if someone says is Pepsi okay, I'm like I don't give a shit. Whatever the black stuff is, put that in with my
Whatever
rum and I'll
cola,
drink it.
give me President's Choice, whatever, right?
I don't like pop, but I drink it as mix. I'm not a straight pop guy. I'll drink bubbly if I want something bubbly.
Oh, bubbly is like I'll tear through that stuff like constant.
Water, like sparkling water.
Like it was water. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, the people that are, I think that this is the same mentality people are putting, the same amount of thought they put into their politics is what we put into
Yeah.
what we drink. I'll only drink this.
Realistically, yes.
Yeah. Why? Because I
My
hate
father drank this. My grandfather drank this.
my
I will
dad
drink
voted
it
for this.
too.
My dad drank that. It's like if you had a favorite packet, if you had a favorite cigarette brand, guess what? It's killing you just as
Yeah.
fast as the other ones.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, you will never get a hardcore conservative voting for NDP and vice versa.
No. Why?
But name one policy.
There's that. There's that. But even let's just say the NDP or the Liberals or another opposing had a policy that was just chef's kiss.
Yes.
You're not going to sway someone who's always been a conservative, and you're not going to sway
at
someone
all.
who's always been a liberal. But
You
I
still
don't.
won't.
But I don't believe that every liberal. I have a hard time believing that every liberal was always a liberal. I
Correct.
believe they switched to liberal.
Yeah.
Conservatives though will dig their heels in, dude. They're conservative.
Yeah.
Pink
Hey, like
grapefruit bubbly.
I can't even think of how many times I voted conservative and how many times I converted. I could probably figure it out. You know,
Probably could. You've only voted
Right.
7 times in your life.
Right, there's only so many times, and one of them
Right.
was NDP.
Yeah. But again, it's whatever you think is going to benefit you. I don't like
But it should be about benefiting you or benefiting the country.
both. Like,
Right?
would you okay?
But
how
what's the
much
what's the greater thing? Is it, it's like
the greater good is the greater good,
the
but
greater
people are,
good, right?
but people are selfish by nature.
Right? But it should be the needs of the many will always outweigh the needs of the few, right?
Right. However, would you give up? How much would you give up? Like, if they said your taxes are going to go up for everything to get better for everybody, I could live with that.
So I'm okay with paying for taxes, because it's a social contract that we pay tax, we get roads, we get education, we get healthcare, we get police, we get a military,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as we don't have those things, why are we paying taxes?
Right.
And
So
that's the problem.
the price you
That's the
pay to have
problem.
the things that you have makes sense. It's when you
Yes.
want to have everything and pay nothing that drives me up the wall. Like, this shouldn't cost me anything.
Exactly.
Well, wait a minute. You want to go get open heart surgery, but
Yeah.
you don't want your taxes to go up. You
Yeah.
want to have roads, but you don't want your taxes to go up. Guess what? Everything goes up. Your smokes went up, and you don't have a problem paying for that. Your beer went up. You don't have a problem paying for that. Your groceries went up, and that was hard. But guess what? You're going to
You
have to
got
buy it.
over it. You still get skipped the dishes. Like, it makes no sense.
Again, if you're going to bitch about the price of groceries, stop ordering out.
Yep.
Right? Like,
I once had
I cook.
I had a client once
Like-
tell me, for the amount of taxes I pay on my street in Brandon, I should get a new road every freaking year. And I said, do you have any idea how much a road costs?
No, they don't.
Not even a clue.
They don't. Same way living on being a sideliner. In the next election, Canoa will hit the road too. The Conservatives will get in, start making cuts. 2 elections later, the NDP will get back in. It happens time and time again. I guess there's a pattern to it, isn't there?
It's back and
Right?
forth. I don't think Canoe will be gone next term. I think he may step down and probably go for federal.
Probably.
Just like I think
that when you,
Doug Ford is going to go for federal too.
I could see it. I could see Doug Ford going federal. But I mean, if you look at the NDP, they've been a voice for certain people. There are people that 100% believe in never cutting a job ever.
The
Here's the
labor
thing.
movement
If you're
is a valid thing.
right, but if you have a business and you have 7 people doing the work of 2,
Yep.
why are there still 7 people working there?
That's the thing too, because it just there are cases where you're going to breed inefficiencies in productivity.
Right. Now, if you have a workload of 130 people, and you've only got 90, you need to hire 40 more people, right?
There are certain things that just absolutely make sense.
Right. So you have to be able to balance that and treat it like a business. You have to treat it like a business. Being nice doesn't always get you anywhere. Being fair is great, but fair and nice aren't the same thing. I think we have to understand that part too.
Well, I mean, there's the thing. What's fair for one person isn't fair for another one. And I mean, so the NDP spends like a drunken farm wife after harvest, Well, yes and no, because the conservatives have also done a lot of things that really shit kicked their financial capabilities for building a profit. Like one of the big things that people like to say is, we need to run this country, or we need to run the province like a business, like how a business runs. It's like, okay, sure, then increase the taxes,
Uh-huh.
because if you're talking about running a business, you got to increase the revenue, right?
Right. And you have to increase revenue, which means you have to make money, which means we have things like resources that we need to get out there and sell and have
Correct.
trading partners. So if you use that as the baseline for your point, then yes, we have to be more profitable.
Yep.
Then you don't have to make as many cuts because you're more profitable. You can keep these people
Yep.
on payroll because now there's more work for them to service,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So
So really, there's only three ways to make more money in the country if you really think about it, right?
okay,
It's
resources,
get more people, right? Sell more stuff. Like you get more people, affect more taxes, right? I
right?
guess there's four reasons if you really think, because then there's all natural resources and bankability, right? But then the fourth one is just cut costs.
So cutting costs, that's almost impossible to cut costs because everything goes up in price.
What's the biggest cost on the financial outlook for the country? It's going to be pensions.
Yeah, but pensions are you can't cut the pensions because people did pay into that their
Right.
whole life, right? So
You
that needs
and
to be invested properly.
that's the thing. So now you got to either increase the population, increase the tax base, or increase the profitability. So that turns into what the big issue is, right?
So you have people that are against bringing more people in, fair, because there's not enough housing for all the people,
That's a big problem.
right? So striking that balance is something where that's where you have to look at who has a plan that
Yep.
can address all of these issues, not just one or two talking points.
Yep.
Right. So I think when you have a group of people that say, "Well, I only care about this," okay, now you're being
Yep.
selfish and stupid. You
Yep.
can't just care about one thing. You need to look at everything. And you're right. You can't just cut costs and hope things get better. You can't just sell your resources and hope things get better. You can't just do this. It has to be a combination of all these things. You've run a business. I've run a business. If you
Yep.
think that you can only take one problem and that's going to fix everything, you're on some sort of really cheap drugs. Come on,
Yep.
man. They're the worst for overspending. Last NDP leadership dropped the province's credit rating. Oh, I'm not
Sure.
defending the NDP by any stretch of the imagination.
And I agree with you. They actually ran things overkill, But you
Oh,
can't tell me
absolutely.
the conservatives fix things either. Like, let's get serious about this here.
Ooh, we're going to get into a heated talk tonight.
You can't tell me in the last few years the conservatives were just like, milk and honey world here either, right? Flat out.
No. Is it selfish to want to fix the country before saving the world? Well, here's I'm going to go as local and as small as I can. If I can't get my house in order, how can I help my neighbor?
That's the thing. You got to help yourself before you can help others too.
You are
That's
correct.
just what it
I think
is.
we have to literally, as they said back in the day, get your shit together. Okay. Would you take advice from someone who's doing worse than you?
Yeah. Well, that's really hard. That's hard.
It's hard.
But it is a good idea too, as well, because certain people, like, okay, so would you take business advice from a person who had a bankruptcy?
Yes.
Like, I absolutely would.
You know why? Because he learned some hard lessons.
Damn straight, because you don't get success without failures. In
Right.
fact, anybody who says, and I had this argument with a person who said, I will always bank on Elon Musk because the guy has constant wins without any failures. And I was like, that's exactly why you wouldn't want to trust a guy like that, because there's something wrong there. And second of all, he's had a ton of failures. He blows rockets up for a living.
Right. But is he a failure? No, he's successful. I know a lot of people who have had successful businesses. I know people who have had businesses that they have shut down because they were not making. So let's say I own 5 businesses. Okay.
Yeah.
One of them is not doing very well.
Yeah.
Well, you bankrupt that one. You take the resources and you focus those resources into the businesses that are working.
Let's just assume you're Trump here. Okay. And you've had multiple bankruptcies and people are
Sure.
saying you're a terrible businessman. I'm going to counter say, actually, you were a very smart businessman because you cut your losses, you minimized your damage that you can be having onto your whole brand.
And the only way to know that is by owning a business and seeing one fail or struggle with one, right?
Yep.
So I think that when you look at overspending, you can't overspend. That's how you fail, right?
Yep.
And I agree with Michael on that because you can't just spend like there's an unlimited bank account. You can't do that.
Correct.
You have to budget. If my budget says I'm allowed to spend, let's just say my monthly budget says I allow myself $200
Yep.
to do whatever the fuck I want with the money, right?
Yes.
If I decide I'm going to spend $5 and suddenly I can't pay my hydro bill,
Yep.
that's on me. That's not on hydro.
Exactly. But in the same instance, you can't cost cut yourself into prosperity either.
You're right. I can't say I'm not going to feed my kids.
Yep.
Because I need to invest this money in my business. No.
Right.
You have to have priorities in what you're spending your money on, and you have to have priorities in what you're cutting back with. And I think that when you have people that have never, maybe they have, I don't know the history or what the NDP, or I'm guessing you're talking about Canoe. I don't know what
Yes.
his history was in business ownership or financial management. I don't know what
Well,
it was.
none.
Right. So
Right. Which is a pretty common thing in government world where they don't really have that experience, which is kind of the issue that we have in some of those regards, because a government also operates on a different financial perspective than everything else. When you have everything working on treasury bonds and loaning out to the various countries, it's not like we have a standard bank account, because you can, if you start getting some financial issues, you can always fall back onto a central bank as a lender of last resort, right?
okay. So let's go back. Okay. Mike, you're hot. You're definitely hot on the budget side of it. Okay. If I said that when I was, again, going door to door running municipally, which I don't feel bad that I lost by any stretch of the imagination, I would have done good. But
You
knowing
should feel
that,
bad for not trying. If you didn't, that's the only thing you should feel bad for.
no, it was such a great learning experience. I loved it. And I think I could do more from the street than I can from the table.
Yeah.
100%. Now, if the two biggest issues that there were in our city from door to door were crime and education.
Yeah.
Would you say that cutting funding to police or cutting funding to education should ever happen? We're giving a
No.
leaking boat and Palliser took over.
Well,
COVID hits.
okay, you're right on that, but I mean that's the same type of argument that you could use on the liberals, because they had COVID too. I'm not supporting them
Okay.
in any way, but I mean that's the standard dogma that we like to say. It's like, oh, this government came in with a surplus and then they blew it or whatever it is, blah 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 blah, right? It's like it's the standard
Okay,
dogma that goes back and forth, right?
you're right. Now I'm looking at the $2,000 check. This is what got me. Now, when COVID hit, I was cutting hair. Okay.
Yeah.
Just cutting hair. I had to spend all of my extra cash on a real estate license that I couldn't do shit with because nobody wanted people in their house.
Yeah.
And it became illegal for me to 100%, Michael, policing and education need more money than ever. Why? Because our education system is failing and we have more criminals out there than ever.
Yep.
100%. Okay. What would you
Yep.
cut? What would you cut if you had a
Yep.
budget of X number of dollars, and this is the limit, the finite amount of money? Okay. You have only so many dollars. What do you pull money out of to fund these things? That's how you have to
Exactly.
look at it. It's not an
And
unlimited
that's-
bucket of cash.
And unfortunately, that's why the NDP really kind of do get in trouble, because they overspend to try to fill in those gaps for those facilities. Now, it's also under the premise that, when you hire more people, it costs more money, but you're also getting the taxation back as well, too. So
Sure.
there is that added benefit for the productivity of the entire province.
But let me rewind to Mike. We're going to get back to this, but I want to go back into COVID for 2 seconds. Now I have paid an EI since I was 12. Okay. I've always worked. Now we all applied for EI when COVID hit. What did we get? We got this $2,000 check. Okay. But we didn't apply for the COVID check. We applied for EI. And then we got our EI started rolling in during this. I sat there watching that, whatever the hell that doctor was, waiting to see when I go back to work, doing honest as shit, black market haircuts. But I had to pay that $2,000 back.
Yep.
Now, why? Because I was also earning a living. So I got a check that I needed desperately, but it came quickly, and then my EI kicked in. Now, did I? Of course, I had to use it, but I didn't realize that that was something that I had to pay back, and I did. But there are a lot of people that didn't. They're
Yep.
never going to collect it.
Never collect. There's a ton of money that's
So,
out there they'll never get.
If I apply for EI and I had been paying an EI my entire adult life, why would they send me that damn check? Like that did mess a lot of people up. Like, why did you send me that? I didn't apply for this. You sent me this. Now, is it my fault that I accepted it and cashed it? Absolutely, and I paid it back. But
Sure.
that wasn't a fix. That was not a fix. The people that needed the fix, give it to the people that needed the fix. The people that paid into EI, give them that because that was part of their insurance.
Yeah.
Take that. But I mean, there were holes in that whole plan that pissed a lot of people off, that really screwed a lot of people up.
Yep.
Now, for someone who was earning a living, that $2,000, whatever, I paid it. But there were people that they couldn't afford that. That shadow was over their heads for a long time.
Yep.
And it's probably still over some people's heads because maybe they haven't paid back yet.
My industry in Ontario, they were shut down for that whole year. So
I was shut down for a year.
Yeah, osteopath friends, they just sat on that $2,000 a month for the entire year. And part of me really went, why don't you do something else too?
I just got one, but nobody was hiring. There was that.
Yeah, but there's the entrepreneurial spirit, right? Some people really jumped in.
You know what? Because I was on EI, I had friends that had a store, and they asked me to kind of be security for a bit.
Yeah.
And I did it. I volunteered. I was like, dude, you need me to hang out? I'll hang out there, and I did.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do?
And I was sanitizing shopping carts, dude.
Oh yeah.
But I was happy to do it. They're friends. I'm like, don't pay me for this. Like, please don't, because that's going to screw everything up as far as my EI goes. I'll just do this because I need to get out the door. That's actually where my podcast started. My mental health was snapping because I was so used to talking to 20 people a day in my chair.
Yeah, now you don't get that option.
No, I was like lonely or whatever the hell it was. So I needed some sort of avenue to talk to people. And that's how this circus started. But I think that when you have a system that's trying to help appease everybody, but not helping everybody, does that make sense?
When you try to help everyone, you kind of help nobody, right?
Yeah, it waters it down quite a bit. Yeah. Now, RCMP, you know what? We were just in Portage. Dude, they are down. I think they had eight members for that entire area. And they're doubling it to 16, which is great. But they also have depot, which they can transfer people in and out.
Yeah.
You look at Brandon, where you've got so many members and so many people. There's not a depot they can. I think they can get people to come from other agencies, but
they had some real big problems with the RCMP. Basically, they're comparably for their organization, they're underpaid drastically compared to a lot of the other companies, like the other police services and such, right? So until that was actually brought up to spec, why would you want to work with RCMP, the most dangerous police force in the country, right?
Well, here's the thing. I personally believe that police work is one of the most noble professions out there. It's extremely thankless.
Yeah.
But you're the guy running towards the problems.
Yep.
Right. And trying to help to the best of your ability. The folks that needed it, yes, you're right. Now, Mike, did you still work during COVID though? Because that's the thing. I mean, I was illegal. It was illegal for me to cut hair. That was insanity.
I remember that first month, that March. Yeah, I think it was March, right? Yeah, it was March.
Yeah.
I remember looking back at the books of it, and that was the first time, like the only time in the entire history of my business that my income was zero that month across the board.
Yeah.
So like there was a whole lot of panic when I hit an overdraft of 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this ain't good.
No, it's not. And I mean, for people that were used to having a routine or a rhythm to their earning, I guess would be the way that I put it. Now, doing what I do now, it's highs and lows, and it's like this. It's consistently inconsistent in real estate. But you learn how to keep that ship
Ride
sailing.
it out. It's a little
You
circle.
ride it out. Yeah. But when you go down to nothing, and it was tough. Like I'll admit
I
that
never
was
drank so much in my
yes.
life.
Okay. Your wife's a hairdresser as well. Ended up she went into healthcare. Wow.
Yeah. That's
And people
great.
were leaving healthcare during that time. Holy shit. Yeah. So you worked in Excel. So I mean, you were still luckily able to work, but people that were working close to people other than healthcare,
Yeah.
I mean, we were screwed. There was nothing. And I had a family of 4, bro. And I
Yeah.
was like, what am I going to do? Right.
Yeah.
But no, I think that if you look at the budget as a bottomless pit, got my first hot shave at Bladeworks. Did I do it for you, man? Oh my God. Yeah.
Fun time.
Yeah. And you know what? I was the first guy to bring back hot shaves in Brandon in over 30 years.
Oh, really?
People weren't doing it. They weren't teaching it.
Takes too long, huh?
You know what? I'll tell you this, although I charged heavy for them,
Yeah.
I made more money just doing haircuts in the same amount of time, but I love the fact that I could do it. I enjoy doing it. It was just a cool thing to do. It was,
Didn't
I
cost
took
a
a lot of
quarter
pride
though.
into it.
It wasn't a dime.
It wasn't a
Shaving and
quarter.
haircuts. It
No,
wasn't
but
two bits.
it took me longer to do it than it did for me to do haircuts, but it was just the fact that I was doing it. Like
Yeah.
no one had the balls to do it in years. And I started it again, totally out of the realm of rules.
Yeah.
Because there was never a rule saying that I couldn't do it, but there was nothing saying that I was allowed to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? It's better to ask for forgiveness and permission. And I brought back hot
Yep.
shaves, and I really enjoyed doing it. My clients thought it was cool too. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Does
But
anyone
yeah,
do
that
that
was
anymore?
there are some places that'll still do it. I don't do it anymore because I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
But could I still bang one out? Yeah, I probably could. I mean, you don't forget how to do something like that. I mean, when you're got a straight blade to someone's throat, you're very, very, very careful. And I still teach it. I still get people that call me up to do classes in their shops, and I refer to shaving someone with a straight blade on. It's like buttering very soft toast, lightly toasted bread with very hard butter. That's the amount of pressure you have to put on it. You're very, very careful. But I enjoyed it. No, I think that we're in for a bit of a ride. I think the election's 28th,
Monday?
right?
Okay.
Monday. So
Maybe
we're going
Monday.
to see what's going to happen. I believe that people are going to be upset. I think you're going to
There's
see
gonna be
a
a
lot
lot
of
of upset people.
There always are.
Yeah.
My hope is this, just to wrap this up tonight. My hope is this. Whatever happens, there's 4 of us and all drunk. Was I? I wasn't drinking that day.
Probably
But
not when you were shaving.
Dude, here's the thing. If you guys are drinking and I'm shaving you and I nick you, you're bleeding a lot. And I'm not, and I was the guy that was like, is that my fault? Or are you just very thin with your blood right now? I hope that this is what happens. I hope that whichever way this goes, people lose gracefully, and whoever wins with a little bit of grace. Like win with
I
some
hope
grace.
That's the thing. Don't turn this into so and so stole the vote.
No, and I wasn't. Okay, it was a working day, so I wasn't drinking. But I think that when we get past the 28th and when we wake up the next day, I hope that whichever way it goes, the people that voted the other way can at least see that there must have been some good points that the winner had.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hope that there's any divide, although there's going to be. I think that whenever you have a change, people are going to push against it.
Yep.
Do I think that we need something to change? Yes. Does that mean another party? Maybe. I just hope it comes with some sort of a different respect for the people that live here and what they're asking for. That's it.
Yep.
That's all that I hope happens.
Well,
What do you think?
the only thing I hope is, God, people need to get voting. You know
what? My old man used to tell me that if you don't vote, don't bitch. And there's that. Don't bitch about anything. If your vote could have been the vote. Could have been the vote.
There's
Or
a lot of people who just choose not to because they feel that their voice doesn't have any power. And it's like, well, it doesn't anymore, does it?
No, and the thing is, if your one vote might not be the one. However, your
Yep.
circle is bigger
Yep.
than you think.
That's the thing. People have more influence than they really realize. So
I think you're right.
That's the problem.
I think you're right, and I think that people like there's nothing obvious about how I might have voted or how you might have voted, and nor have we shared that, right?
Well, there's the thing. I've had a lot of liberals just assume I vote conservative, and a lot of conservatives just assume I vote liberal.
And I wonder what people think that I vote for. Like, do I look like a green guy or the People's Party or the
I think it's a more Bloc Québécois.
Bloc Québécois? No, I think that people have to, again, vote for something instead of against something.
Yeah.
And if somebody is talking to you, listen. If something's clicking, whatever it is, it has to be one point. It's sort of like if you take a course, if you take a 5-day course and you get one thing out of it that makes you better, that's what
It's
you
worth
stick
it
to.
then. Yeah,
Right.
let's just stay with it. Yeah.
Right. So I think that we just say, guys, whatever you voted for, I hope that you did it because of not because of fear of something else, but because that person, that party spoke at you and you heard something. And
for all you people who voted, I hope you're happy with yourself.
I hope you're happy with yourself. Yeah. And you might be. I mean, you might be pissed off. You might vote and say, oh my God, my vote didn't mean anything. Or you're going to win and you're going to say, hey, we won. Great.
You know what?
Then guess what?
I voted, and if the party I voted for doesn't get in, I'm okay with that. If the
party that I voted for doesn't get in, then I will ride with that. We've ridden out some storms, Ben. We've ridden out storms.
There's policies that you and I would both agree with on both ends of the spectrum.
For sure. Nobody is totally wrong. How about that? Does that make sense?
Well, except for that one guy.
Which one
guy? You know that guy. There's always that one guy.
That one guy's totally wrong.
That one guy.
There's the one. There's the one. Like he's wrong. He's wrong on everything. But other than that one guy,
everyone's fine. You're all
everybody's
good.
not totally wrong.
Yeah.
My God, have we ever stayed? We've stayed so neutral through this whole thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. There's a quote that I heard. It's this is a good one in response to the one guy, right? There's an old Jim Rohn quote, and he goes, "There's only like 10 or 12 really terrible people in the world. They move around a lot, so that's why you keep running into them."
Yeah, that's right.
That's so true.
How many assholes do you really know? Not many.
Right? It's like maybe one or two, and it's probably the same ones that you know.
But guess what?
Like,
when you're thinking about that one asshole that you know, you're going to run into them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to find what you're looking for.
It's absolutely inevitable. Yeah.
It is.
It's like driving down that street and you staring at the tree. You're going to hit it.
That could happen. But no, I you know what? I hope that however this goes, people aren't pissed off at their neighbor because they had a red sign or a blue sign or a green sign or an orange sign. Just
vote and shut up.
Decent. Like, yeah. No, I think that we've got
some grace.
Have some
Win,
grace.
Lose and walk away.
Like, I don't even know who's playing hockey anymore, but guess what? You can't be pissed off at the San Jose Blues because they lost a game or whoever the hell they are.
If you're really upset that the party that you wanted to win didn't win, maybe you should run.
Or maybe you should have been knocking on the doors for that party.
Yeah. Go make a fucking difference if you really are that insanely upset about it.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Do you want to know why I ran in a city election?
To make a difference. I don't know.
The same thing happened. I had someone come up to me and they said, hey, are you going to run in the next election? I said, no, absolutely not. Why not? You'd get the seat for sure. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. I wasn't running for a seat. I was running to be the guy that would say the things that everybody was saying to me at the table. That's why I was running. Simple. Yep. That's the job.
Yeah.
And that's not happening. So do I believe that there's do I believe that there's as much power at the table as there is on the street? Not by a long shot.
I think after seeing some council meetings that there is a certain flow for how things are. It's like just like what looking at question period.
Sure.
You know, there is a staged show on how things are, but the decisions, the everything is made very civilly behind the scenes without anyone seeing it.
And that's where transparency has to happen, right? Transparency 100%.
Yeah.
And until that happens, you're going to have the same thing over and over and over again.
That's
Everybody has to know
why
everything.
we're there. It's
Yep.
like purgatory.
It is.
Anyway, I
Okay,
gotta
guys. Thank you
We're
guys
outta
for
here.
showing up and hanging out with us. We're gonna get be a lot more lighthearted next time, and we could also brag about who won and laugh about who lost.
You know, we should do that. We should just be cruel to the losers.
Ooh, but then we're gonna make enemies. I don't like having enemies. I like having friends.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why next time I'm gonna vote green or something. Then I can hate everyone.
Is there a purple party? Can we vote purple?
That's like the Rhino Party,
Can we start one?
Yeah.
Just the thanks for coming out
Yes.
party. Like
the Pierogi Party, or something.
I'm just here for the sandwiches party. I
Good
think that's
stuff.
the green
That'd be
party.
good.
Okay,
It's
guys.
like that. What was that show? Brewster's Millions. Vote for none of the above.
Vote for none of the above. We should start the none of the above party.
Yeah, none of the above.
None of the above party.
Perfect.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Sorry we're a little bit late. I got stuck at Costco for an extra 15 minutes, but we made it here as fast as we could. Purple party's your party. You know what? Let's start a purple party.
Good
Okay,
times.
guys. Have an awesome weekend, and hopefully it's nice out. And we can all get out there and enjoy the weather because
Damn
spring
sure.
is finally springing for us here, guys.
It'll be a good year,
It will be a good year,
except for the losers.
except for the losers. Purple hearts. Look at the purple hearts
Yeah.
Pebbles gave us.
There we
That's
go.
fantastic.
Awesome.
Okay, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers.